Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. You look stellar today.
Thank you. I was actually recording a video for the master class to send in an email. I was
Nice.
thinking I can do like a little bit about me and also what I'll cover in the master class. So the first email that goes out has that. So uh,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Good, 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 good. You look really calm today and really focused and really high level, I guess is the best way of putting it.
Oh, thank you. Actually, can I tell you like from the call yesterday
Yep.
that changed something in me. Like I might have messed up a lot. You can tell me about it later. But throughout that I was so calm. Like I know I don't- she was just like, I don't feel comfortable borrowing money from my husband or asking for all of that. And it was just like it's there and I was I was like calm and i- it's not even I was pretending to be calm.
Yep.
I was just like, yeah, I know this behavior. I know it. And something like shifted on yesterday's call for me.
Good.
And
Did you get a chance to go back and listen to it yet or not?
no,
Okay. I
you
did.
sent me
And
something.
I did listen to it. I was
Oh,
curious if you went back and listened to it or not.
no. You sent me something. Were you? Oh, I wasn't sure if you were not able to sign in or not. But yeah, no, I did not get a chance to go back and listen to it.
Okay.
But
Good. So it's just based off your feelings on.
yeah.
Good. I love to hear that. It goes back to what we've kind of discussed, kind of the last month or so about where a lot of people fail online isn't
Mm,
necessarily the brand, isn't necessarily the messaging, isn't necessarily the content. It's not whether it's written or VSL or webinar or whatever it may be. It's
mm,
often the internal,
mm,
right? And when you're leading people from your internal place of being comfortable of who you are
mm,
and comfortable of what you're capable of and understand what you're capable of,
mm,
that leadership shines through, which is why you've been intoxicated by certain individuals in the past.
mm.
And you're developing that intoxication with other individuals. And it's funny because I could see it right away today on you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for noticing that and saying it. A lot of people notice and don't say it, but
Well, and two of my favorite quotes, one of them is, it's better to be a warrior in a garden
hmm.
than a gardener in a war,
Hmm.
right? And then the other one is a weak man is a powerless man. A strong man that is capable of extreme violence but keeps it controlled
Hmm.
is a powerful man, right? Like the fact that you can do harm to somebody else, but you decide not to,
Hmm.
that's a very strong place of power to be.
Yeah.
And when both of those quotes are based on war
Hmm.
and violence, but at its deepest human core, it's knowing that you're capable to handle any situation and be completely comfortable, even if you're facing struggle, insurmountable odds,
Hmm.
that that you're gonna come through all of it. And that is, I think, the shift that you felt.
Hmm.
And so congratulations for that, because that's awesome.
Thank you.
And I listened to the first 45 minutes last night, and I listened to the last 40 minutes this morning too. And yeah, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about on here, and which will be great for everybody. Because number one, near the end, there were some times I thought you did an amazing job. That at first I was like, oh, this is going to go south quick,
Hmm.
because she got aggravated with you like three different times in that second half of the call.
Hmm.
And you saw her emotion arise.
Hmm.
and almost started battling,
Mm.
but your calmness, you didn't fall into the trap of starting to argue,
Mm.
and you stayed calm, and that immediately, in the way that you responded to her, immediately made her check herself and refocus rather than get into battle mode, which lots of times battle modes just end in people hanging up, right? Like, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm done, from
Mm.
either your end or her end. I thought you did a really good job with her because you had to figure out if she was an ideal client.
Mm.
Now, your message to me was like, ah, this went way longer than what I should have.
Mm.
And we talked about this yesterday after you jumped off. We talked about 2 call closes,
Mhm.
right? And why do you do 2 call close at times? Or if you're in a situation like that, what is the best way to kind of handle this? Because you can get someone to a certain point, and the one thing that I was talking about is the to make a 2 call close work. At the end of the first call, I've never talked about really the dream scenario, and I haven't taken it away.
Mhm.
And I haven't really discussed, why is this important? Why do you need to do this today? I haven't got that far yet, right?
Mm.
So then the second call, I can start off there
Mm.
and then go right into proposal.
Yeah.
So we can have that whole discussion and wrapped up in 5 to 12 minutes, do a proposal for another couple minutes, and then have the further discussion for closing, and be done with it.
Mm.
And in between that is when you're giving them more information.
Mm.
And so on that call, some of the things that extended out the time frame was you did go into convincing mode and marketing mode a little bit, right?
Mm. Mm.
And the good thing about that was you didn't overcook it.
Mm.
You had a purpose of what you were doing there. Like, I need to figure out this lady's even,
Mm.
right? So it was very, very well done. Um, and you could have cut that out and just, okay, go back and watch the pre-sale material because you already had that squared away,
Mm. My
right?
goal was that, like
Yes.
I want to have this 20-minute call, and it ended up being 1.5 hour, and
Yep.
I felt like, I mean, I got good practice, I
Yep.
said the things that I'm learning,
Yep.
but yeah, I would love to know in detail where I went into battling mode and
And,
what can I do better
yep.
and how did I end up there?
And
That's the most important thing.
correct. And that's where, like, I always like to deconstruct things. Okay, where did it end up? So where can we change things?
Mm.
And so with her, like you said, yeah, it went an hour and 20. We
Mm.
probably could have cut 40 minutes off
Mm.
and just said, hey, go watch this stuff,
Mm.
right? But also at the other side of the coin, that last 35 minutes were a couple times that she did start kind of battling with you a little bit.
Mm.
Those were when she finally told you what was really going on and her fears and why she needed to do this. So
Mm.
you got some of the biggest nuggets there as well,
Mm.
right? And she also told you why she wouldn't buy from you,
Mm.
which was when you asked her, like, what would the perfect program look like? I don't know. I need your help,
Mm.
right? Which also, I want to tell you, congratulations. Someone that has no idea who you are, what you do, except for, hey, I've got a friend that helps people. Why don't you talk with her?
Mm.
You did an amazing job through the call, and I wouldn't have cut that one 20 minutes or 30 minutes short. I probably would have handled that into the 45, 60-minute range as well.
Mhm.
Now, it's really ironic. So, and I'm going to give you another congratulations and well done that I've told you numerous times, but again, I'm completely blown away every time that when we do a role play and then you have a sales call on the next day or two and you send me that recording, how you've implemented everything we essentially talked about. because it's very ironic that that call went exactly as our role play did,
Yeah, I know. And I
right?
was so glad that we did that role play.
Yeah. And so it,
That's the doctor in her. She's an excellent student.
yep, yep. Yeah, she applies immediately, and it's great to see. And you understood what you were doing.
Hmm.
And one of the reasons why it went so long as well is, and it was kind of your message to me too, of like her talking a ton,
Hmm.
right? Now there's multiple different things when people are talking a ton. Why is that happening? And some people talking a ton is like what we've talked about before. You know, when someone gives you like 3 to 4, 5 things, like which one do you take? Well,
Hmm.
normally it's the first one. Was their honest, because their immediate answer they didn't think about.
Hmm.
And then all the other ones are basically distractions of like, hey, oh crap, I just told you this. Now I'm going to, right? It's a self unconscious protection that someone has developed over their life of, hey, if I really show you my heart, oh crap, I'm gonna get burned. So I'm gonna start showing you all these other things. Now she wasn't necessarily doing that.
Hmm.
She was talking so much because you were leading her astray with your question,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so the one thing I want you to think about, like at the very beginning of the call, you did a really good job, and why we do it of, hey, what's the purpose? What was the purpose you wanted to jump on this call,
Hmm.
right? And you got a really general idea, and that was good. What are you looking for specifically?
Hmm.
And she didn't give you much,
Hmm.
which made the next questions a little bit harder. Now, the biggest thing when I go into every single call and kind of thinking, you know, letting you guys kind of know how my brain thinks when I'm going through this, because I'm always problem solving. So when I run into a problem talking with somebody, my brain is figuring out a way to solve it, right?
Hmm.
So why wouldn't they enroll? I need to figure out why they wouldn't enroll and have a discussion about what's the other side of the coin here,
Hmm.
right? Um, why don't you think this would work? Let's look at the other side. Oh, you've been burned in the past. Well, let's look at the other side. Oh, you don't have the money right now. Well, let's look at the other side. Right. And so always problem solving. Well, let's have a discussion about the other side. The
Hmm.
reason why I do that and very, very well is because just at the very beginning of the call and the past sales process you've done in the past was trying to manipulate people. And you
Hmm.
were just trying to search around for, oh, for them to go, I'm sorry, my life is over. I need to work with you. You know, instead of let's solve their problem, let's overcome their fears, let's overcome anything that gets in the way. And so I want you to think of it this way. Um, have you ever been driving in a car before? You don't know where you're going. The passenger next to you does know where they're going. So they're telling you how to get there. And all of a sudden they start talking a ton and like, oh crap, we just missed that spot, that turn.
Happens all the time with my son.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what's happening on your sales call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason why I'm using that analogy, because yeah, if we're asking the wrong questions,
Hmm.
we're going to get wrong answers.
Yeah.
And you answer again, it was really ironic that the call went and you asked the questions just like our role play went, and it led you to essentially the same result. It did take you longer.
Hmm.
And some of the questions that you asked in between some of the other parts is where it led her astray. So there was like there's probably 12 minutes of this call where she's talking about her husband where it didn't matter,
Hmm.
right?
I agree with you. Yeah.
Now, that's where this moment the husband's health comes up. Oh, he has a collapsed lung. Oh, okay. So is that going to be better in the next few days, or is this like a lifelong issue that he's going to have to deal with?
Hmm.
Right. Then gets into a transplant. Right. Now I don't need to hear this whole story.
Hmm.
Right. And you asked several times. And so she went deeper and deeper into the story
Hmm.
rather than just confronting what the issue actually is with the husband. Because
Hmm.
what's the issue with the husband with her?
issue, her issue with her husband?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I got a couple of things. I don't know how much is relevant. But oh gosh. Well, she has to babysit him. She's not making enough money. Like she has those big dreams that,
Yep.
yeah, I want to support him and I blah blah blah, but I don't have a job.
Yep.
And that thing that she feels shy of asking for money.
Yep. And so all those reasons are of her not enrolling, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where, in the most basic sense of the call, what's the husband? He's just a roadblock we need to figure out how to overcome. And we just need to do it really quickly, just like an objection handle, right?
Mm.
Of you have all these reasons not to do it, and you're blah, 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 blah. Why would you do it if your husband told you no? Right? Is really what we're trying to get to.
Mm.
And the reason why I kind of use that driving analogy is when I'm on a sales call, again, I'm looking at them making a decision, right?
Mm.
The outcome I'm driving to help them make a decision is changing their life.
Mm.
So that's my outcome and my GPS that I'm always aimed at when I'm having a conversation with somebody. So if I'm role playing with you, the outcome I'm asking questions to lead them to is you need to realize that you're the problem.
Mm.
The way you communicate, show up, all of these things, you're the problem. A resume is not going to fix this.
Mm.
So every question I have leads to that because the North Star is them enrolling with me.
Mm.
And throughout that call, instead of going right towards that, she would start talking and then, oh, we just missed a turn and now we're way over here.
Mm.
And you'd have to pull her back. And then all of a sudden you end up way over here again and pull her back. So by asking questions a little bit more specifically, a little bit more directly
Mm.
around like the husband situation, because it was beautifully done. Hey, you already know about the money. Cool. You haven't talked to your husband about this at all. He's in the hospital.
Mm.
Okay. And all that stuff is fine. But let me ask. Let's say you go talk to him, say, hey, honey, I'm gonna invest in this. I just put a down payment down for 4K. Would he be on board with you, or would he tell you no and say, hey, you need to go get your money back?
Mm. Yeah, be that direct. Okay. Mm.
Yep. And because I'm leading to that path, right? Because I need to have that discussion. And if she goes, I wouldn't be able to do that, that's fine. Cool. I'm curious because I need to pressure check that and know later. And she goes, yeah, he would probably tell me I need the money back. Okay, cool. So we need to get him on board then.
Mm.
Awesome. And I know you haven't watched my stuff. He hasn't watched the stuff. I know neither one of you on board right now. And that's perfect. That helps. So does he trust you enough to make a decision to put that 4K down, or is this all on you?
This is a very powerful one. Yeah.
And because even at the end of the call, she said, I already have this first down payment saved up. I don't need him. And I don't want to borrow the money from him. And you spent 15 minutes trying to not overcome the objection, but problem solve the money thing, right? Of a story about which you did a good job of like, hey, when you go buy a house, you put a down payment down, right? And then you have a bank that finances the rest. Sorry, I'm not going to have you pay me $200 a month for the next 4 years. That's not how my program works.
That again, I should have said very directly.
Yes, correct. And you danced
Yeah.
around. So
Yeah.
so
Okay.
some of these questions getting more direct with it. And now with, like you said, if something shifted on your call, you felt really calm, very powerful through that conversation. So you're able to have those conversations, right? If you go back and listen to a call from a year ago and you try to pull off that line, oh my gosh, it would have been utter destruction, right?
Yeah.
It would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
So now you're able to have that discussion of like, hey, well, cool. I'm, a big part of this call, like I said, I'll get you that information about me after this call. We'll set up a second one. But also I want to make sure that I'm respective of your time and put you in the best place to win. The last thing I want to do is spend another 30 minutes with you here, an hour on a call to have you go back to your husband and go, you're out of your damn mind. We're never spending $1 on that at all. So if this is going to be a major issue you're not able to overcome, where do we go from here?
Mm.
Well, no, okay, cool. And so I and you dropped in the line, like, I don't want $1 to ever separate someone from having the success and reach the dreams they want. So we can figure stuff out.
Mm.
But again, my program's $8K.
Mm.
I don't do a $200 a month thing over the next 4 years. I don't finance like that, but there are financing options available.
Mm.
So worst case scenario, are you okay with figuring out financing on your end if that would need to happen?
Mm.
And if your husband said, no, I don't want you spending that money, what would your choice be?
Mm.
Because I also don't want you sleeping on the couch, right? I don't want to start a divorce or anything like that. But are you going to make the best decision for you or let him make the best decision for you?
Mm.
Right? And depending, I might not put that harder language, but that's still the questions I'm at. Because
Yeah.
all of these questions are leading to what? Her making a decision that is hiring me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing dance around fluff.
Mm. Mm.
I'm asking, hey, okay. So if I use another analogy, if you and I are walking side by side and we walk up and we see American Ninja Warrior in front of us, right? We got to jump here, swing here, climb over this, all that type of stuff, right? And I go, I'm going to blindfold you. You got to trust me, take my hand, and I'm going to guide you how to get to the end. Okay, here's this wall. Okay, put your hands up. Okay, now I have my hands together right in front of you. Lift your knee up. I'm going to put my hands underneath your feet. Okay, now they're underneath your feet. Okay, now jump. And I'm going to throw you, right? That's the same type of thing. You have to guide people all the way through.
Mm.
So every wall that comes up,
Mm.
we're overcoming this because my end goal is to have you hire me. And I need to have you through that.
Mm.
And if they get off track,
Mm.
yeah, all of a sudden you're 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. And
Yeah.
it's 20, 25 minutes of conversation that never needed to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And so if we were going through American Ninja Warrior and you let go of my hand and started walking that way towards the crowd, whoa, 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 where are you going? I have to pull you back in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that's a big part of my thought process of what I'm going through everything. So my questions are always going, okay, this wall's in front of me. What question do I need to ask you to help you go, okay, I can climb this wall?
Mm. I got thrown off by her saying, I never ask for money from my husband.
Yep.
And I couldn't figure out how to address that objection.
Yep. And the one thing I was going to bring up, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I wouldn't be addressing some of that stuff on this first call.
Okay.
Again, you were trying to help her figure out ways for financing and
Mm.
walking her through that. You weren't really overcoming the objection. You were doing caring curiosity and like, hey, do you mind if I help you with that? Right. Which you never would have had that conversation at the end if at the very beginning you would have said, hey, now you know my program is this
Mm-hmm.
type of deal. And you would have got more direct about the husband and would,
Yeah.
hey, what would you figure it out? And again, you're saying, hey, we can figure this, all of these details out at the part of doing the second call. I want to make sure everything lines up for you, that it's going to get you the result. You understand what I do, how I'm going to actually get you there, get these results.
Mm.
I'm never going to let $1 get in the way. So we can figure that stuff out on the second call. I just want to make sure that you're open to these possibilities. Otherwise, we would both be wasting our time, and I don't want to do that for you. You've got enough on your plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so then, and now, because the other thing is, if you're trying to convince her to finance stuff, what's she financing? She doesn't even know what you do. There's no value there. There's no reason to finance.
True.
right?
Yeah.
And why you handle it there on that second portion. And again, you did everything. It really is truly ironic how, again, you were asking the questions and it just went just like the role play. I'm trying to remember which questions were you did, but there were a couple questions you changed them and they were softer and more generic answer, which again is what led it off to a different thing, type of deal. And the art part where you were trying to market to her, I thought you did a good job of going, well, do you think it's a resume? Do you think this? Do you think this? Right. And you did get to a point where she's like, yeah, I've tried these things. They haven't worked. The one thing I want you to do is go back and listen to the call again and take some serious notes. And the reason why this call is another reason why you take calls with people that might not be ideal clients, or if they don't even have enough information about you yet, because she gave you every probably objection and confusion and misunderstanding and not sure what you do that all your clients probably have. And we could probably write a super powerful pre-sale material that overcomes pretty much all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Or putting out content about all of this stuff as well and have videos about it so you can send it to people. Or if they're watching or reading or whatever it may be. And so you did a really good job there. But when we do start marketing and try to talk, a couple things happen. Sometimes we can lose people because it's kind of like when people used to ask me, so, when I was in fitness, Scott, I want to lose 20 pounds. Can you give me some suggestions? And I start talking and they just blank out, right? Like the glaze comes over their eyes, like, blah, 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 blah. They don't want to hear it because they don't know. And it's one of the reasons why I try not to do that on a call, unless I know it's very specific or I'm answering very specific questions. And she wasn't really entirely sure what you did, but she's also not really entirely sure what she needs either, right? Which is where she was looking for you as a leader. And you were over talking without saying much of anything near the end too. When you asked her the question, so what do you feel like you need to make a change? And she's like, I don't know, my friends asked me like 100 times and I've never had an answer. And so she totally dodged the question, right? And then you made a comment. Next thing she said, repeat the question again for me. Right? She's running from that. And so being very specific of going, well, the fact that your friends asked you this question of what do you need to change 100 times and you just told me you don't have an answer for it, that really, really concerns me right now for you being able to get any job over the next year or two. Right? Because now I'm getting really direct of like, hey, you need help. Again, my goal is to get them to see the problem so I can help them over. They're blindfolded at that moment. You kind of said, hey, do you want my perspective? And there's some other, that's one thing I say a lot. Do you want my perspective? Do you mind if I coach you here? You did do, hey, do you mind if I coach you here at one time? But in that scenario, I would have said, well, do you want my professional perspective from what I know so far? Because it might be right, it might be wrong, but do you want my perspective?
Okay.
You want to get a job. You're overwhelmed with a ton of stuff. You've been out of the marketplace for 10 years. The market's changed a ton. You're 10 years older. You're 10 years out of tech. You're telling me you need to go back to school to get this stuff so you're back into place. You're talking about all these things that even if you had been working the last 10 years, because majority of my clients that come to me, they've been working consistently. They've also been educated consistently. They're up to date on all their certs. They're still not getting jobs. And guess what? Every job you apply for, you're going to be up against 500 of those individuals. that don't have these gaps and issues you're talking about. So you think it's the gaps and the issues are the problem? Because when I work with, they don't have those gaps and issues and they're still not getting jobs. They come to me because of something else. You want to know what that something else is? And then get really direct. Has nothing to do with your resume, has nothing to do with your schooling. So yes, the fact you've been out of the market is going to be something that's even going to be a bigger hurdle for you to overcome, which is why you can't have the same strategy that other people that are far above you are using and still failing. You need something that successful people are using so you can jump that hurdle. Does that make sense? Now, my pre-sale material, or the materials I wanted you to watch before you came on this call that I'll have you watch again, is going to show you how I help you do that. There's nothing, 1% of it's your resume, 1% of it's your experience. Has everything to do with how you act as an individual internally, from self-confidence to belief, how you walk and showcase that, and how you then communicate with other leaders on social media and in person. That people get jobs offered to them without even seeing a resume. That doesn't magically happen. That's a very strategic process you have to do. And it's multiple layers. Some of it's technical, some of it's personal, but I don't want to overwhelm with the details. That's what those videos are for. Do you see how that would actually be the best way for you to get a job in the next 30 days to 6 months, rather than hoping that you actually find a position, overcoming the major setbacks and being behind the 8 ball that you are? Yeah, I do. Okay. So all those, the materials I'm going to send you, I want to make sure you watch it before the second call. And I want your husband to watch that as well. Now, let me ask, right now in this moment, it's a very critical time for you. Making a decision of going off what you've kind of planned to do that you're not really taking action on, or getting some help to actually jump all this. Which way do you feel is better right now? Well, working with you. Okay, cool. Why though? Because you don't know a lot about me, but just through our conversation, why do you feel? Because she was looking at you leading, not to market to her. And so step into that leader that they need. I'm going to tell you what to do without telling you what to do. Hey, here's my professional perspective. This is why you called her out. You bring somebody else in, right? That is farther above her in a better situation. Say you're still not, they're not succeeding. So why do you think you're magically going to have this happen? That's basically what you're saying. Like, you're stupid to even think that this is a possibility, right? And if it does happen, it's not going to be what you want. So just more direct there, and it probably would have cut another 12 minutes off there of that conversation, because you got a yes or a no, and got that commitment. And then if we would have had that stronger position up front with the husband and, bringing in money, 35 minutes to that end of the call is cut off. And it's empowering her and it's showcasing you as a leader. She's like, hey, this is the culture that I want. Because my next step is, you need to go finish this part and then come back to me. And you can even say, much like in my program where I work with you one-on-one, we'll talk. I'm going to give you homework. Nothing crazy. It's not like 2 hours a day or anything. It's not, you can be able to fit it in your schedule. I have a lot of women that have just as busy a schedule as you, and they're still making it work. So I know that you can too, because I see that drive in you. And I just up-leveled her mentally, right? By propping her up, because I see that same drive in you. So I know you can have the same result, and it's not going to be a lot. So go show me that you're an ideal client by doing the work and coming back and starting, right? that's essentially what you're saying, but you're empowering them to like, hey, that's really where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the call could have been cut down, but I thought you did a really good job with everything.
Yeah.
When I was talking there was something else that popped in my mind, and now it popped out too, because it was something I wanted to bring up. It'll pop back in my head. So everything I just said there, kind of going through that, and you just knowing how the call went, how are you feeling now? What questions are popping up? What thoughts are popping up? Like,
I have to just up my level of directness
mhm,
and just keep that goal in mind. I have to help them make that decision and empower them in the process, not bring them down.
yep,
Those were two major takeaways. So I think the one thing that I have always wanted to accomplish for myself was to stay calm. Now that I'm calm, I need to like listen and focus on the goal, right?
yep,
What is it that I want them to answer next? Um, so the previous style was, the manipulation was I want them to answer the questions a certain way so I can ask my next question. But this is more like asking them to drive them toward that decision, whether it's a yes or a no, it doesn't matter. But questioning, if it's a no, why are they leaning more toward no, and being curious about that. But this was great. I recorded this on my voice recorder. I'm gonna listen to it over and over.
cool.
Just yeah, just being very direct, not being afraid to say things like, hey, there are clients who didn't have a gap on their resume, and they are, they have lots of qualifications and certifications, and they are finding it hard.
Yep,
So where do you think you stand? I mean, I'm not gonna ask that way, but like being direct is key now.
yep.
Yeah.
And 100%. And now and that's where, she came in, we role play it because like, hey, this is probably not an ideal client. So how are we going to handle this? And she is an ideal client. And I truly believe she's probably going to be someone that buys from you because of the way you handled the call. And she showcased, I'm looking for a leader. I'm looking for you to tell me, because all this other stuff I've tried has failed. I'm referred, so I have trust in you. Tell me what to do. That's essentially what she was screaming out, especially that last 30 minutes. I don't know, just tell me, please help me.
Yeah.
Right. And when someone's in that point, again, if earlier in the call we would have discussed that money and the husband thing, we wouldn't have needed to continue with that.
Yeah.
Right. If we would have had a conversation too, kind of about just role playing kind of that leadership and bringing her up. And hey, you're not going to get it now. Just tell me what to do. Okay, cool, awesome. That's where. So now we're going to schedule that time. So boom, now we're booked out for Friday. So now you've got 2 days to watch that video. I want you first to watch it by yourself. Then I want you to watch it with your husband, have a discussion around. I know he's in the hospital and you're running around doing things. Do you think you'll be able to do that and watch it with him, have a discussion about it? Just a 10-minute video. It's not going to take you all day.
Yeah.
Right. And I know you said you don't like borrowing money from him, and you've got some money aside. So again, we'll talk about it. I just want to make sure that when we talk on Friday, that you don't tell me, hey, my husband said I shouldn't do it. And you show up to the call or you cancel the call because of your husband said that. And I might not be that direct, but I might say it a little bit differently. Right. Which is why I kind of addressed it earlier. What if your husband says no?
Yeah.
Right. And so again, the call was done very, very well. You did very, very good with it. I think you going back and listening to it, you could learn a lot from it, number one. And again, take notes, because that one truly is something that she gave so much gold of where content you can put out and overcome, especially with where you want your brand to be in your ideal clients, because she does want to be that individual. right? But she doesn't truly know how to be that person, or it's just a possibility or some fantasy,
Mm.
right? And so I would even potentially, if I were you, is maybe shoot her a Loom video now that you've kind of
Mm.
sat on it. We've had this discussion, and
Mm.
maybe shoot a Loom video to her
Yeah.
and saying, "Hey, I'm excited. I've been thinking about you since we had our call. Um, I'm glad you're going to be watching all the information. I'm looking forward to our call on Friday because I want to dig deeper into really where you want to go
Mm.
and really line out how to make that happen in a reality.
Mm.
And also, and maybe you address a couple of the pain points or different things that she popped up, maybe that you didn't address the best and you feel like you could address better."
Mm. I think I could have gone deeper into, like, she doesn't know what the husband's situation is going to be.
Yep.
And I could have just asked her, so what's your plan? Right? If
Yeah.
you don't get the job for another 6 months, 12 months,
Yep.
and things go southward, what's your plan?
And that's why you needed to have that conversation about the husband
At,
really
at the
directly, right?
very beginning. Yeah. Now I know that. Yeah.
And because that's a big thing, because it was all wish-washy through, and that was the thing that she's partially holding on to justify her not being where she's at, not taking action, why she needs motivation. It's also gonna be one of the biggest reasons why she won't go, and why, again, yes, being really direct about things. Well, let's say worst case scenario, your husband isn't working in 3 months, doesn't work for the next 10 years because of this health situation. What are you gonna do?
Mm.
What's your plan then?
Mm.
Right. And being direct in some of those things when she's talking about it, going, "Hey, well, that so you're not really sure, like, having an uncertainty, is that a real scary feeling?" Yeah, it is. Are you just as scared about same feelings when it comes down to finding a job that actually is going to work for you? Yeah. Are you going to let that fear stop you from actually doing something about your career and put you and your family in the best place to win?
Mm.
And I just remembered what I was going to bring up. So the one thing, and actually we were talking about this with Dr. Stark a little bit yesterday too, of, hey, there's gonna be doctors that come to you that they might want to travel. They might want to stay in their hometown. There's a lot of options out there for people now. And I would have had, when we were talking, when you in the first probably 20, 25 minutes of the call, kind of talking about like, hey, ideal role and different things.
Mm.
Well, working part-time, hey, would you be open to potential careers that you work from home and online? Maybe have a little bit more flexibility,
Mm.
but you're still working full-time. Oh, that would be great. They're out there. I'm not saying there's a ton of them, but
Mm.
those are possibilities and why some women come to me as well,
Mm.
because they want to make sure they land those roles, because those are the only roles they can really take.
Mm.
Right. And so sometimes in our brain, we think, oh, well, geez, she's got this going on, this going on, this going on. We buy into their own BS.
Yeah.
And we make in our minds reasons why it won't work for them,
Yeah.
rather than in my mind solving the problem. Hey, will this work for them? Hey, she might be perfect there might be an online position she could do right now, maybe in a part-time one right now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, you're working part-time now, you get a part-time job doing this, and it helps cover all this stuff, gets you insurance, gets you more money, you're able to do it when you can, you get super good results, and it leads to a full-time position to where you actually really want to be.
Mm.
Hey, are you okay with like a journey like this? Right, kind of like when you ask the question, hey, if you don't get a job in the next 3 to 6 months, is that okay?
Mm.
Yeah, it is. Okay, how about a year from now? No, I need one. Okay, do you think you would be able to find a job if it's going to take 3 to 6 months to find a job? How come you haven't been able to find one in the last 3 to 6 months? right? So starting to have a conversation of, hey, if you need one in 12, you might not need one in 6, but you need one in 12. Well, you can't waste the next 6 months doing things that aren't going to work and never have a job in 6 to 12 months, right? That's flawed logic that you're going down hoping that things are magically going to change when there's going to be a growth process through this, but there's a lot of options here open to you.
Yeah.
And so not making, again, excuses or objections to their own mind. And that's why I'm always, hey, problem solve. What do I need to do to get person to this GPS point, which is enrolling with me? Well, first I need to make a decision to change and see the possibilities of what they're there. Once it's there, I can say, well, cool. If you don't make a change, like, where are you then? And have that conversation pulled away, which bridges them to like, well, let's work together. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
One big realization I just had was being a doctor, that can be a double-edged sword, in the sense that, when she talks about lung transplant, as a physician, I know how much involved it is.
Yep.
But as a lay person, she does not know really what is involved. And it just reminded me yesterday, one of my friends who is a doctor, she also minimized, her husband has, mesenteric tumors and they have come back. And she says, we are just hopeful that, like last time, it will just take oral chemotherapy and it'll be fine. And I am feeling, oh my God, do you know like how life turns upside down when that happens? So
Yeah.
again, I need to step back and like, because I start feeling how hard it is, and I feel like she is already in that place and knows how hard it's going to be, but it's not true, because they could be minimizing it because it's just a safety mechanism, right?
Yes.
I
Correct.
need to break that and help them see what actually the situation is.
Yep. And just to, emphasize again how good of a job you did in a call, and to go back when I told you, hey, you're really deadly, is somebody that has that much purposefully putting their head in the sand and ignore reality. Look where you got her. She's asking you to lead her. And that's a really good testament, and congratulations to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are certain things like that we have blinders on, which is why, again, just like I, use the analogy, you're blindfolded. Hey, you're blindfolded. Okay, I'm going to need to show you, I need to help you overcome this because you're blind to what's really happening, what's in front of you. Hey, as a physician, I know how tough that's going to be. Is he going to be able to continue working during that time? And if he did lose his job or wasn't bringing income, where's that put your family?
See, these are the way you ask these questions are very inviting. That is something that I want to learn. I need to listen over and over. And I know you had given that assignment to come up with different ways of asking that same question. I think I need to like double down on that and seriously do that homework. But the way you coin them, it's just very welcoming, very inviting. And yeah, like every time, you give me feedback, I can see some specific things that I can work on the next call. I just want like more and more calls, because I feel like this is
Yep.
this
Well,
just
and why we said,
real.
and why role plays are so important,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the role plays, you're able to take that right to this call, you're able to implement that. And I'm just gonna say it, but I don't see people you're one of a very small percentage of people that are able to implement it immediately. Like, hey, I'm jumping to the call, see you later, and implement that with the ease and the skill that you did. And so again, that's very good. Congratulations to you. And again, it goes back to like when I say it's carrying curiosity. I'm actually curious I actually care about this person. I care about getting them to this, which is buying from me. Why do I care enough about that? Because I know actually the struggles that they're having in their life and where that's going to head. And I know worst case scenarios. Right? That's why it's really important to know your ideal buyer. Because if you know that worst case scenario, I'm here to problem solve this with you and help you overcome to make sure it doesn't happen. And it goes back to where I think I've said to you before, you know, if you and I were sitting at a restaurant and we sit down at a table and we start talking, and in a course of an hour, you have 2 margaritas and 4 shots of tequila, and you tell me, hey, well, I got to go. I've got a 3-hour drive ahead of me. Would I let you hop in a car and drive yourself 3 hours after 2 margaritas and 4 shots of tequila?
No,
100% I would
started
not.
racing just thinking about that.
Right. 100% I would not. So I have to have a conversation with you to make sure it doesn't happen. And I have to have a discussion about how to figure out to make sure you don't do that stupid thing, but more importantly, still get the result you want, which is being in a place that you want to be in 3 hours from now. Cool. Well, let's hire an Uber. I don't have the money for it. Cool. I'll pay for it. Right. And the same type of deal of, hey, you don't know how to get there. I help people get there. Take my hand, follow my lead. And the questions, and going back to you saying, hey, right, you know, I say, hey, go through those questions and write them out a bunch of different ways. I don't need to do that. All the things I ask whenever we're talking, it's just me being me because I actually do care. So I can immediately put myself into their shoes and go, I care enough about you to ask you this question. It's tough. It's a tough question, but it's the caring aspect of what you need to hear. You need to take a look at this. You do. You need to stop and take a look at this for what it is. Would you do that with me? No? Okay, cool. You're not, you don't want to go that far. That's fine. Or, yeah, cool. Now you're looking at it. So what are we going to do? Either way, it continues to lead me to that point. So I'm always on that point. Right. So again, listening to your call, and the reason why I said all of that is because, yes, going back and writing stuff and role playing and thinking about these conversations, how could I said this better? Right. Like I play these things through my head quite a bit in these conversations quite a bit, but it really isn't a line. It's not a trick. It's not a manipulation. It's not something I've written down. A lot of them just come out in that moment. Right. Like when we've role played, I've said the same question different almost every single time, but it's the same meaning coming out of my mouth, the same, it's the same intent. And when you just make it a conversation of like, oh my gosh, how do I ask this person of like, don't jump off the bridge? How do I ask this person in this moment of, wow, you really think it's just going to be a resume after 10 years of being out of the industry? And depending on how the conversation's going, like, I'm really concerned if, you know, putting your resume together is one thing, but you've been out of the space for 10 years. And there's people that are in their current companies, have full resumes, are completely caught up with everything, and they're not getting promoted. And most of the jobs you apply for will have hundreds of people all applying that are probably still working, have been doing that. I mean, do you see yourself really overcoming that through a piece of paper? I said it differently earlier, but I still said the same thing.
Every time you come up with, a really great way to ask the same question.
And I don't know if that's just years of communication with me, right? And that's, again, where role playing comes into play. But yes, writing down the questions, writing down, hey, what I'm asking this person, but also being in a conversation. And the good thing on a sales call too, you comment about the way that I speak or the way my body language is or my pauses or things of that nature. When you stop to think, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So if you know, oh my gosh, how do I tell this person you're an idiot?
without being
And-
rude.
Right. And you step back and be like, and stop and be like, I want to ask you this question, but I don't want to risk offending you. Are you okay? And it's giving me a second to step back to think about this question.
Mm.
Or what you just said really had multiple different things pop into my mind. The most, I guess, the most important thing that out of that, I guess I want you to know, you're an idiot if you think the resume is actually going to work. Right. So I did all those pauses there to get me to think, gave
Mm.
me time to think.
Mm.
Now on their end, they don't know. They know you're thinking. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this person cares enough to actually stop and think about this. And now they're like, oh my gosh, let's, right? So if I went through that whole thing and said, the most important thing I can tell you is, the stats from Forbes right now show that 97% of people in your industry don't get a job because of a resume.
Mm.
You're up against hundreds, if not thousands of people. Majority of them have better qualifications than you, better track records, more distinguished career, and some of them more educated.
Mm.
Do you feel doing the same thing as everybody else, which is causing a 98% failure rate, the best route for you to take going forward from today on?
Mm.
Anybody that says yes to that's a moron, right? And that's what you're kind of saying,
Yeah.
right? Well, the 2%, the reason why they can actually make this happen is because they're not relying on a resume. Actually, there's a lot of these individuals that get hired without even someone looking at their resume.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are really the magic of what needs to happen in the marketplace today to find the job that's going to fit for you, especially with your family duties, with your husband duties, and your time constraints.
Mm.
That we need to get that ideal in there. So you're behind the 8 ball compared to 98% that are failing doing it the way that you're thinking about doing it. Is the best interest for you to do something different and do it the way 2% that are actually getting jobs? Cool, because that's what I help women do.
Mm. I feel
And I
if
know,
we asked
and
the
I
questions this way, she would probably have just said, I don't need another call. I want to work with you right away.
potentially, right?
Yeah.
Right. Which is she, and again, to your credit, at the end of the, near the end of the call, she was telling you, just tell me what to do, please. That's what I'm here for, because I'm looking, this other stuff's not. And if you would have just, that's what I help women do.
Yeah.
Okay. The questions and the way I'm talking with you is selling you on, hey, this is the right person.
Mm.
What do people buy for? The outcome.
Mm.
They don't care about the features. They don't care about the benefits. They care about the outcome.
Mm.
And you've overcome her fear and her objections and made her see an error in her way. Yes, I need to do it different. Well, that's what I help women do.
Yeah.
Now she doesn't care about module 1.
Mm.
She doesn't care about the process. All she cares about the outcome.
Mm.
And the emotional aspect is there. But now you've had enough of a conversation with her where logically she could justify it too. Hey, I know you're the person to do this for me. I was referred to you. I don't know everything about you, but I don't need to know everything.
Mm.
Right. And even asking a question, hey, what's the perfect program look for? I don't know. Cool. Right. Which is a really good question, because it gets them to go, hey, you're not going to know everything. We're going to have to jump either way.
Mm.
So it's a beautiful question, and something I probably would have used if I would have gone to a call on this point and got to that level.
Mm.
So again, you crushed that call,
Thank you.
and I think she is going to buy from you. And yes, there's always improvements,
Mm,
right? And so that's just like your content or your marketing or anything. How do we improve to make things better? Because yeah, that was an hour and 20-minute, hour and 30-minute call.
yeah.
Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. There was a lot of really good stuff that came out. Could there
Yeah.
things be pulled in and tightened up and cut it in half? 100%.
Yeah.
If you would have cut it down any shorter and been whatever, could she still turn to ideal client? 100%. But
Yeah.
some of that conversation would be on the second call,
Mm,
right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing to remember too, is you overcame a lot there, which is going to make the second call either she's gonna cancel it and
Yeah.
not do anything, or she's gonna come in and you don't need as much time because she's really bought in and ready for that second call.
Yeah.
And that's where doing 2 call closes could sometimes be really good. Why I said be fluid. I go into every call, hey, I'm closing into 1 call, but
Yeah.
depending on how the conversation goes, hey, cool. Just to let you know, the next step of my process is actually getting you some information, booking a second call, and then really diving deep into really where you want to go. Cause I want to make sure that where you want to go, then you have the information how I can get you there. But I want to make sure that I can let you know that I can make that a reality for you too. Right.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss that in a second call. But let's continue. I kind of want to ask some other questions about, right? And so you can drop that in any time and
Yeah.
continue with the conversation to do that, depending on how things go. So again, you did awesome on the call.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for the role play yesterday. The one thing that I got out of the role play was that I have pushed away so many clients feeling they're unideal. But if I ask the right questions, even the unideal clients then suddenly seem ideal. So I feel this would have been the candidate. I would have just said that, oh, she doesn't, she doesn't seem very serious about what she wants to do. Plus, she's looking for a job, and that's not my thing. But I mean, I help people land jobs, so it is my thing. But
Yep.
yeah, this journey has been so beautiful, Scott.
Good.
Just so much learning, so much beautiful learning.
And, going back to like what you just said too, of how many people you've pushed away because they weren't the ideal client. They didn't have the money.
Yeah,
Their husband was never going to let them do it.
yeah,
Whatever. All of that stuff, some of it potentially 100% true,
yeah,
but there was a good chunk that you missed as well.
yeah.
And also this call is somebody that doesn't know anything about you, and look where you got them. Now they were referrals, so there's some trust and authority and confidence right there with that,
Mm,
but they still don't know what you do.
yeah,
I can trust you as my realtor. I'm not going to buy a house till you tell me, oh yeah, first one on the market, go put the money down. Okay, I trust you. Now, some people have that level of trust with the real estate agent, but for the most part, you're like, no, I want to walk through this thing first, right? Type of deal. But how far you got her is now you know how easy sales calls are going to be, and the ones going forward because of all of these little shifts. And like you said, the journey you've been on, and there's always another layer as well.
yeah. And one last thing I want to say is this part where you said, look where you got her. Thank you for saying that, because I did not see that now she's really looking at me as a leader, right? I just felt like, oh my God, she wants all the answers, and she's not even enrolled. So that shift is also, I mean, calling it that as a shift where she started looking at me as a leader, that is very helpful, because I didn't know what happened. I was like, now why is she like asking me, just tell me what I need to do? I thought I did not do a good job, but it's actually the opposite. I did a great job, because now she's suddenly looking at me as someone, as an expert.
Yep. And she was asking for it, and you'll go back now and listen to that part where, again, you didn't answer her specifically directly, like how many hours, little things. And that's where like, I don't get into specifics, don't get into marketing, and you'll see it kind of threw you off and you kind of tried to, market convince mode, which was some old habits from before, which once you go back and listen to this, I know that you'll immediately never do that again. But you'll tighten it up a lot better, like what I kind of just showcased there, right? Of that's what I do.
Yeah.
and ready to go. So I know Cindy popped in there a second. I think she wanted to say something and seemed like she's fired up to make some comments here real quick.
Man, well, I can't remember exactly what I was going to say now. It was just different things that, on y'all's whole hour-long conversation just then. I think she's doing a great job. And I think what you're teaching us is a way to say some really hard questions without sounding rude. I think that's basically what I was going to say. Because you're so direct and forthright, but you're not doing it in an abrasive way. You're doing it in a caring way.
Yeah, it's very much a love and leadership way, and very much also confidence and conviction way, but not an arrogant, conceited doctor frame way. Right. And that's where there's big changes that'll happen. And again, it's a real conversation again. That's why, like I said, hey, here's a script, here's frameworks. That's to give you the fundamental foundation of understanding of how to, if you have the GPS of the person, you got your GPS and they're a little off. How do I have conversations to lead them to my GPS, right? And overcome each one of the things. And just having a conversation, I know that all of you guys have that ability to have that conversation because of your past careers, who you are as individuals, who you are as coaches, and it's everybody. It's just when you take off that sales hat and try to be all salesy and manipulative, it is where so many people fail. Or you're just thinking about the next question, right? And that's ulterior motives, and people pick up on that, right? No different if you were sitting at a bar, the two of you go out to a restaurant, you're sitting at a bar together, and some guy walks up to you, and you can immediately tell what type of individual it is. What's his ulterior motive here by his questions, right? Is he really paying attention to you? All those type of deals. It's the same thing. Sales calls are ironically very much like dating. There's a lot of persuasion, but also a lot of seduction that happens. And so just learning how to communicate with people is really, really huge. And all you guys are becoming way better communicators. And that's where understanding this communication here on a call directly can reflect and be implemented in your marketing too. And you'll see a shift there. So everything you're learning here, understand, wow, I can put this out in my marketing this way. And that's what people are really looking for too. They're looking for you to be a leader. So do we want to do a role play? Yes. And thank you for everybody for letting the two of us talk about her call. And just so you guys are all aware, if you take sales calls, yes, I will review them and we can have discussions and breakdowns on this, whether it be on a call or good, Katie. I'm glad you're getting a lot out of it. And it is one thing about reviewing calls. It is beneficial for everybody because again, these are human nature conversations. And Katie, you kind of missed it, but the role play that Manelli and I did yesterday for that client, she sent me the call and I listened to it, and she basically followed it, the questions to a T that I had. And the call went essentially the way our role play went. She did a super good job. So again, showing that, any offer, any person, any scenario, when you're being true. And so learning about these role plays is very helpful. So I'm glad you're getting a lot out of it. So I'm not going to be a salesperson and I'm not going to be a lead. So who wants to take what role and go? Oh, everyone's jumping at one time.
I can be either.
Katie says she needs practice. Katie, when can you jump on?
She said 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
I am setting the clock 1:59, 1:58, 1. Since we have a second, so yeah, Cindy, in the messaging, I some of those taglines, right? So kind of like the profile banner that I made for Bill, right? That was kind of taglines and micro script and those type of things. So I wanted to get those dialed in, see which one resonates with you the best. There are a couple that really stuck to me and resonated with me the best,
Oh, okay.
but I want kind of your take on that
I'm
because
supposed
I
to
do want to
vote.
get a banner out for you. Also talking about your YouTube channel. I think we get a YouTube channel for your name as well. That's
Okay.
not why it's mom.
Oh, come on.
Because you're so darn good on video, not having a YouTube channel would be a disservice to you.
Well, no, I do have a YouTube channel
I
that's,
know you do.
that's, it might even be called Dr. Freedom, or it might be called, subconscious repatterning or something.
Yep.
But I used to do a training for 30 minutes every Tuesday at 10. And I would upload them there. They were Facebook Lives on methods to rewire your subconscious mind. So just make another channel.
We can just rename one. We'll take a look at it.
Okay.
But I was just kind of saying because those microscripts and taglines will be good for the YouTube channel name too. Put in description so people know. And I really like some of the stuff that I put out to you. I think it's going to really hit home for doctors, and a couple of the ones, even the one that I sent in this morning, kind of provide a little bit more intrigue. Like, hey, you don't have to be trapped. Like, there's other ways out there, which gives you a little bit of that curiosity. Like, whoa, what does she know that I don't?
Yeah.
Right. Which I think will be really huge, because especially now, if you have that and then see people start, what does she know that I don't? And then we talk about, hey, just like there's traveling nurses out there, they sign contracts, they make 3 to 4 times the amount of money. They punch in, punch out, they work less hours than on staff. Do you know, as a doctor, you can do that? You could potentially do that even in your own hometown. You don't have to travel at all. Boom, that's so sexy, and that's such a strong hook that any doctor, I mean, if Melanie was still a practicing doctor, I'm guaranteed she'd be like, I'm all over that. Because you're almost selling the same type of dream is what some of you guys have been sold to go into online businesses. But you can help people make this a reality, staying inside their career, right? They don't need to go into real estate. You don't need to start a coaching business. You don't need to do Airbnb. You don't need doing, no, this is your
Write a
career.
book. Yeah.
Right. And so it'll be really, really good kind of going that route.
Learn how to do sales calls. I mean, that's a lot.
Yep. And so it's a beautiful place to be. So let me know which ones you kind of like the best, and we'll kind of go from there, because
Okay.
they're kind of building some of that out. And I'm redoing stuff for Bill's content and some of the stuff because of the shifts that we've made on his stuff. I want to rewrite what I had for your website, because it's not as aligned or as powerful as what this is. So that's one of the things for both of you guys, of getting some new content out and new pieces like that. And your webinar still fits great. Yes, we could tweak that, but we don't need to. It still works great, but I think we can go tweak the headline and the landing page of that to make it better. Little things like that. And then getting some of this content out that really starts getting people to be reaching out to you is going to be huge. And I'll be for kind of both of you guys here by the end of the week too. So,
Okay, awesome.
okay. So Katie, did you want to be the salesperson, or did you want to be
I should probably be the salesperson, because I have like 6 people who need to come into my program and I'm putting it off.
Perfect. I think that's great. I'm going to turn off my camera. I will obviously be listening. If you guys see my hand raise, I'm going to have you guys pause. I'll kind of jump in and go from there, but I don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. And Katie, how far do you want to go into? Do you want to go into to Heaven and Hell, or up to proposal? What do you feel like you feel good at? And next week we should start practicing. Next week we should definitely go through some proposals and also objection handling too.
Yeah, I think this is my first run practicing with this framework. So let's just go, and I'm going to do my best to stay on these intentions. If I get I'm not on an intention, I'd like you to stop me and talk to me about it. So I'm sure we'll get to that point before we need to decide if we do all the other things.
Yep. And just one thing there too, to take that stress off of you.
Oh, thanks. Tell me.
When you're doing frameworks,
Yeah.
you don't have to follow it line by line, word for word, step by step. To where anytime through a conversation, I can talk about someone's heaven, I can talk about someone's hell, I can talk about the investment, I can talk about what I can do, I can talk about what they're struggling with at all different points.
Cool.
And that's by understanding the reason why you're leading someone here. Sometimes when they're blindfolded, oh, we missed that turn. And they also, I'm like, well, how much is this anyway?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, why are you asking? Just so I answer it correctly.
That's so good.
Right. So now I can have a real conversation about money if I need to up front. And I'm not opposed to that. That's the elephant in the room. Right?
Totally. Yeah.
And majority of people that have a conversation in the first 8 to 12 minutes about money, my closing rate goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Right? Because I can end it. Cool. I get it. Getting your money back or your money's worth is 100% it. My goal is to make sure you at least 5x that and give you that proper value. If that's the case, is this okay? Or is this out of your budget? Okay,
Right.
no, that's cool. Okay, so it's all on me to make sure that you see the value then. Yeah, Scott, it is. Cool, let's go, man. Right? And I don't say it like that, but that's right. Like you can overcome.
Sure.
So don't feel like you need to go step 1, step
Yeah.
2, 3, right? You want to be in that mental framework, but if all of a sudden someone comes down here, cool. I can have a quick conversation, but I'm going to bring it back and then continue going again. Right?
Yeah. It's
Cool.
great. Yeah. So my understanding of the frame, the way I'm been listening to you and studying this is there are sections here. There's an investigation section.
Mhm.
And there's parts of this that I need to know about before we go, okay, what does this look like when you've really got it? Paint that picture for me. There needs to be a level of I already know she's in the right place. She knows she's in the right place and she's kind of sat with her stuff and she's dying for me to bring her forward. Right.
Yep. They've already made the decision to do something in their life. That's
Yeah.
number 1. They've made a commitment to do it today. And they've told you why they can't go any further.
Yeah.
Now they're like, yeah, I'm here because I hope that you're the bridge to my dream. Okay. Do you want me to tell you how that works? Yeah, I do. I'm ready. Cool. Let's go.
Cool.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay. So the offer, I want to talk about the offer a little bit because it's been framed for parents. Dr. Garv, are you jumping in with me? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been framed for parents, but that's not all that we do. So that's low-hanging fruit. If you can find a mom with a relationship problem with her kids, this is so amazing. Scott, can you come back for a second? I have to talk about an epiphany.
Yep.
This is like the big thing I'm realizing that has changed in this process for me. I hid behind a parenting offer because I didn't think I would have any credibility in marriage or co-parenting or other in-laws, like adult children. And I've brought those women through, but I'm like, hey, just tailor in your mind. Forget that we're saying moms and kids. This is for all adults. Communicate the same way. It's the same stuff. I'm realizing I sold myself so short and I know that we've talked about opening it up, but the cool thing that I know now is I was hiding. I didn't think people would trust me for other things, and they really do. And I'm an expert. Like I
And you've
get
got the results to prove it. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I want to open up for you, Dr. Garb. I think it would be really fun actually to try. What would you like to bring if you were going to be a relationship offer lead? What's the struggle that you would bring? And then let's talk about that real quick before we start. Is that all
No,
right?
nope.
I'm confused.
No.
Like,
know her?
tell me
Scott's
what
stopping
I
us.
don't
Yep.
want me to play.
Scott
Yeah.
completely stopped us. I don't get
Yep.
to know.
So Marinelli, you're walking in because you're trying to get your home
Mhm.
and relationship with your son from chaos to calm. That's it.
Okay. All right, cool. We'll do that.
Okay.
That's the result you give. That's that's everyone's GPS that's ever going to be on the phone for you. And so the biggest thing I want to tell all of you is your content. That's why, and if I use, like, again, Bill as an example, everyone's going to be going to the 4-day work week. Everyone's going to go to yours for the chaos to calm. Everyone's going to go for the freedom with Dr. Cindy. Everyone's going to go to be an unstoppable force in the boardroom for Dr. Garv.
Yeah.
These are the outcomes, right? That's the outcome everyone's after. That's all that matters. Can you
Well,
get them
I
to
think-
say, I'm ready to change, I'm committed to change, I need this outcome of calm in my relationship at home? Cool. I believe you're the bridge. Yep. I want to hear about it. That's it.
Okay, let's do it. It's
So
different.
if
It's
we
changing.
start,
That's all.
and that's
Yeah.
where, like, we were just going through that, the critique of her call. Hey, what's your biggest problem? You keep going off here. You're not, hey, this is the path, right? So your GPS with every single person that comes on, your goal is to get them from their home is in chaos. You're getting it to calm. That's what they're all after. That's the outcome after. That's the whole conversation, is this focused. Boom. That's the North Star that you need to bring everybody to. Make sense?
It does, but it's not my outcome. Like, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
But it's the, like, that is what a mom of young kids needs. But this offer is what I'm saying is now about personal authority and clarity and connection and bringing those connections forward and not stuck and in chaos. Yeah.
Which means nothing to anybody except for chaos to calm.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can go with
Yeah,
that.
we're saying
I
the same
I can
thing.
roll with it today. And I like being blind with her. I think it's good.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay, let's go. Woo!
All right.
Hi, Dr. Garv. Can you see me and hear me okay?
Yes, I can. It's good to see you here.
Good to see you too. I know you reached out and I've been excited to hear your voice and, put the person with what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So-
Same.
Good. So since we last talked, I know I sent you some videos and a little bit of information about what it is that I do. Did you get a chance to watch that?
I did watch a few of them. I have 3 children and I just did my best. I saw two of them, and I just started seeing the third one, and my son came and I had to pay attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Well, we're all moms around here, so that's totally valid. That's great. So tell me what you saw in the beginning that had you reach out to me in the first place.
I've been looking up for some help. I didn't even know what to look for to get help because things are getting really crazy at home as a mom and a full-time mother. And I don't know how I came across, I think maybe it was a Facebook post or something where you talked about, I think it was codependence and, how moms can become, like I just become a better mom. So I don't remember the exact context, but yeah, that's how I came across you.
Cool. So is that something you've been looking for online for a while?
No, not really.
So it just showed up and the circumstances at home is what made it really jump out at you.
Yeah, I mean, I was scrolling through Facebook, just to look for help because I told you, I didn't even know what help I needed. And I just saw your post and it resonated, and I thought maybe I should reach out to you and talk with you.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I remember that post. I think it had to do with walking on eggshells and
Yeah, I think.
not having any time to think your own thoughts. Is that what's going on at your house?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Yep. Well, when I sent you that stuff and you looked around a little bit, kind of the women that I talked to and the stories that are in the stuff that I sent you, was there anything in there that made you think, I'm asking the wrong question. What did you see about what we do that made you want to get on the phone?
I really like Melissa's story. where she talked about how she worked with you for, I think, a few weeks, and she started seeing the changes where she felt more in control and wasn't getting as aggravated by her children. And yeah, that is something that really made me curious about what you actually do, how you help women. So I would love to learn more about it.
Cool. Yeah, her story is amazing. It's amazing. Was it the time that she got the results that made you think, "Oh, this really might work for me?" Or was it more that you saw yourself in her?
No, I'm just curious. Like, I mean, it just seemed like a great story, but yeah, I mean, I just like, it was a new thing for me, for someone to not get, someone who got aggravated, and now there's a person who's not, and she's the same person. So I just got curious and I wanted to learn more.
Cool. Okay, so is that kind of what you're looking for? Is about your own temperament with your kids?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, tell me, right now, what's going on with your kids that is bringing up that agitation and frustration? I mean, we all have that, right? Our kids come and they tend to push all our buttons. I think that's the way they were made and the way that we were made. So, what's happening now that's kind of pushing your buttons or getting you to that place?
Well, my husband just got laid off from work, so he's at home most of the time. And even though he's home, uh, I'm not getting as much help from him. And I'm working full time. And when I come home, I see that, the toys are all strewn around, the children are crying, and I just need a moment to sit, and I don't get that, and I just get very, very angry, and I snap at them, and I don't like that.
Wow. Okay, so it's kind of a short fuse between what you see and what you do.
What do you mean by that?
You said you come home and you see things are in chaos, and your kind of response is to snap at people. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if they don't change anything about the toys, you still get home from work and you're tired. You've had a long day. Husband can't help much, it sounds like, or whatever the situation is. Let's say the situation stays the same. What is it that you saw in what I do that you are hoping that we can do for you?
I don't know. I mean, I want my husband to help out, so
Awesome.
that he can, I mean, do something. Just because he's laid off does not mean that he can just sit at home and do nothing.
Yeah. Yep. So there's definitely skills that we can equip you with to communicate with your husband in a powerful way. But I'm wondering if he didn't change, what is it that you want to do to make this situation better? What's the path that you want to take? I need help, Scott.
I mean, I would just like to come home, open a bottle of wine, and just ignore. Like, I don't know where this is gonna lead to.
Yep. SOS, Scott.
Why do you say SOS already?
Already. Okay. Well, I know
A lot
what's
tougher once you're there, right?
yeah. Oh, I knew it
And
would be.
and it's also a lot tougher when you know I'm watching and critiquing you.
Of course. Yes.
Right. So I know there's a lot of that. So the notes
Okay.
I was typing out there,
Nice. Thank you.
nervous front intro,
Yep.
energy fluctuations are going to scare a lot of people away.
Okay.
You weren't clear on what she was attracted to and why she showed up on the call.
Okay.
There were also a lot of yups by both of you, which indicates no connection by either party.
Wow. There's a
Your,
lot of
que-
notes.
your questions come off really sharp,
Wow. Okay.
and I'll explain that. You have
I
tons of filler words.
yeah.
If you ask Manelli this as well, it was one of the habits we had to break from her right off the bat because she had a lot of old sales training of oh, wow.
Mhm.
Oh, oh, type of garbage filler words that don't get anything. And your biggest filler word is yup. And your yup, I'm not sure if you were reading Melanie or not. Every time you said yup, she actually pulled away from you emotionally. And she's like, okay, this lady's not a fit for me. She's not what I thought she was.
Wow.
Expressing your point of view before knowing theirs will get you in more trouble faster than anything. And you want to
Yep.
think politics. So imagine if you hopped on the phone with me and I was like, hey, did you see the debate last night? And you're like, yeah, it was so good. Yeah, Trump killed Kamala. And you're a Kamala person, lost everything with you.
Uh-huh.
Right. And so you expressed a point of view of yours to her when you have no idea what hers is.
Which
And
one was it?
you were just getting lost in the weeds. So you were uncomfortable. So you were just filling things in like, oh, so when you get home,
How the
you do
husband
this,
or
right?
used.
You do this, or yes, the husband comment.
Yeah.
What do you, right? Like you were trying to lead with, which is again, where a lot of people fail in sales questions, especially the old style that you used to do. You're looking to trying to figure out, okay, why will your husband leave you? Why are you going to go commit suicide tomorrow because your life is falling apart? Type of deal, rather than just asking them questions calmly,
Yeah.
and figuring out where they're at. You're also too quick there at the end to jump into why do you think you're the person to help,
Yeah.
because they don't know and you haven't earned the right for them to even answer you
Totally.
yet
Yeah, no,
at
I
that
thought
point.
that was a question about her perception of me and the stuff she's already seen, but I see that. Yeah.
Yep, and selling's not telling. And so the last few minutes there in questions, you were trying to sell her into not your program, selling her into, hey, this is the way that you should think. This is what I
Our
see.
mindset.
This is right. And so whenever you try to sell somebody on a point of view by telling them why that they should have that point of view, or you're trying to sell them into, hey, your world's like this. I know I've been here before.
Yeah.
All my clients, so you don't even need to tell me. I'm just going to tell you what it's like, right? Because if I tell you what your home life like, now you're going to buy from me. No, that's not the case. Because again,
That's
everything that
so, yeah,
you
that's
tell
so
people is
mind-blowing.
completely garbage.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So-
so mind-blowing. It's all
And
I did
that's-
before, and it worked really good.
Yep, because they were already sold though.
Well, here's the other thing. I found codependent women. So they
Yes.
want someone to come tell them what the hell is going on, and they took my hand.
Yes. And,
That's what
but now-
codependent women are looking for.
but now the people are going to be coming to you aren't always going to be codependent women, are actually going to be way more sophisticated. They're going to be more like Dr. Stark and Dr. Garv and
Yep.
Bill, that they're not going to fall for that stuff, right? And they're going to be looking for more, especially if you're but the other problem is, yeah, the women that bought from you before, you were selling $1,200.
Well, we did 3K when I was crushing it.
Yep. And when you look at the whole change that you're going through,
Yeah.
and what was your closing percentage then?
When I was selling it at 3K, when I was crushing it,
Yes, doing one-on-ones.
I think it was
Not-
80%.
Okay. And when you were going through that, the women that said no, why do you think they told you no?
I think they were scared.
Okay.
I mean, I did a lot of lower months. The height was 80%, and that's when I was like, I can't do this anymore because I knew I was manipulating them in. Yeah.
Yep. And that's one thing of looking at, of going, okay, you were doing 80% before, which is super, super good, right?
Yeah.
Why would you want to make any changes?
Because it was manipulative.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
I literally folded the business because I couldn't do it.
Okay.
We
And-
closed up shop. I've been working for free since then. Yeah.
Yes. And it's why certain offers, after starting and starting selling for them, I said, hey, I'm not working for you guys anymore. Because I knew that fulfillment wasn't good, or I was selling a piece of poop with gold sprinkles on it. Let's just say
Sure.
that. right? And I'm like, I'm not doing that. Not, it just won't do it. So
Well, I
same thing,
believe in
you've
the
got to manipulate or lie to people, right?
Well, it's the
And-
same program, but it was my operating was, I know better than you that this is what you need, so come through the door. And they did.
Yes,
And they got everything they crushed it. The program is gold, but instead of letting them go on a journey of discovery that it's what they need, I was just like, yo, everything's changed for me. I know what that's like. Get over here.
Yep.
It's
and
terrible.
one, and the marketing you had in place when you were bringing people in before, right?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was nothing there. So you did have to do
hmm
more things of that nature. And I'm not going to say that the reason why people enrolled with you because they were codependent and looking for that, no different than, you know what, just going through that role play and breakdown of Melani's call of that woman was, hey, I'm looking for a leader.
Yeah.
But if she would have had the conversation you just had with her, it never would have got to that point.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the thing I'm trying to say is the way that you did things before you had success with. It's a very hard thing to then step away from and change.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
reason to change and understand.
Totally.
And so if I use Manelli as an example, again, she did 400 sales call and probably had 360 of them hang up on her.
Whoa.
Almost, yeah. 'Cause
And now going through this, she
watched them
knows
for
she
2
lost.
hours.
Yeah, and going through this, she knows she probably lost 200 of those because of doing it wrong. So you guys are starting from two very different places.
Yep.
So that's the big thing I want to ask too, because I want to make sure I coach you correctly.
Love it.
And I want to make sure that I put you in the best place to win, because everyone, like I told you guys before, don't be me, sell your own way. Right. But if I don't point out the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're not going to get any better.
No, I want it all. Yeah.
Right.
I can see very clearly that my this is why I said it's my new full-time job to channel passion into consistent action, because I can see the whole thing runs on passion until they're through the door. Now there's a recorded process and a map, you know, and then coaching is amazing because the content's doing all the work. So the idea, what you're really talking about, I think to me is boundaries. This is what we teach. Like I'm making assumptions, I'm guessing, I'm presuming, I'm putting a bunch of stuff on her that is not her, instead of chilling out and trusting the process and discovering her.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. You know, the other day when you said, "Hey, I want what's in your office, Scott."
Yeah.
Mernellini, did you feel that at all from Katie?
No. I can point out a couple of things though, you know, which because I was totally in the role and I was just like
You did a
whatever
great
questions
job.
you were
You're
asking,
so good at role playing.
I was answering them. So, you know, some things that felt not like me was, you know, when you say, so it must feel like you're walking around on eggshells, and I was like, yeah, you can say that, right? So my answers were like, okay, maybe that's what it is. Even the fuse example, because again, that's your worldview, and I was like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. Yes.
And first of all, I want to tell you, Katie, that this is exactly how I felt when I did my first role play with Scott. The great thing for me was that there were not so many people listening to it. So, you know, give
Thank
yourself a lot of grace for that. But I really liked, you know, you had, you know, your cup of tea, your drink, whatever you were having. You know, you were relaxed and whatnot. And I also like the eye contact. And I also like that you were listening. The challenge was, you know, what do you ask me after what I answer? And that
Yeah.
is my challenge forever. Even now I go to Scott for, oh, but she said this, what do I say now?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard to really, I really want to pay attention to what you're saying and understand. I'm looking for, and Scott, you got to talk to me here because I feel like I'm in a dark room looking for something to hold on to. What are, like, why is she here? So I'm looking for her words. And then what I was trying to do, what I thought I was doing, was reflecting her, what she's telling me back to her to make that connect. Okay, here's where we go from here because I found it. Oh, there you are. But that's not, if that's, I'm finding that that's not what's coming across. Is that right?
Yeah, and so I'm gonna go back to about 25 years ago. So I was managing a Gold's Gym and had 5 sales guys I was coaching, and one of the guys, he was just a monster. Like his biceps were bigger than my thighs, and he was in prison for a little bit, and but one of the biggest hearted guys you'd ever meet in your life, and just an amazing individual. And if I had him sit at his desk all day, he would go days without closing a membership. And it was the equivalent, Bill, I'll get to you in 1 second. It was the equivalent of me putting a lion in a 10-foot by 10-foot cage. And if you've ever been to a zoo and you've seen a lion like that, they've got no life in their eyes and they're dead.
That was me. Yeah.
So
I know about that.
the moment I unchained him from his desk, he would go out and close like 3 to 4 deals every single day. And he
Yeah.
would get that done in like 2 hours and have the rest of the day off. And he was
Okay.
always on top of the leaderboard. So that's where I don't want to change you, but I want to help you
Yeah.
to maximize who you are, but how to make this extremely successful. Bill, go ahead with your hand raised and unmute yourself too. Bill, did you have a question or comment?
Okay,
Yep,
can
go
you hear me,
ahead.
guys?
Yep, got you. Go ahead.
So just a quick observation. To me, what I'm seeing is it's like when we all first learned how to drive in the car, there was world, we're looking at everything, but our focus is kind of like 5 feet ahead of us, right? It's what's within our bubble. And what they told you when to drive is, no, you need to look at the horizon. You need to look down the road and ahead. That's where you're going to be going to. And I think that as we do this, right, we tend to look at where are we at right now? What's our next step? Well, instead of looking and saying, where do I want to go? What's my next mile point where I'm going to make a left or a right turn? Not necessarily what's 5 feet in front of me, but maybe what's 50 feet in front of me, so that when a potential client talks to us and throws us off of our game, we know where we still want to go. And
Yep.
that's where we kind of we pull them back in, we pull ourselves back in, because we know that when we, in another 300 yards, we're going to take a left turn. We know that. So how we kind of go through that process, it helps us understand what those next steps are. That doesn't necessarily mean that we want to say, oh, we know we're going to go from Atlanta to New York. Yeah, right. But there's a series of mileposts, mile markers that are along that way. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, and you're spot on 100%. And that goes right with like what Katie just said of, I was looking for something to be like, grab on and like, oh, here you are.
Mhm.
If you're going to a sales call with that, you're going to really struggle on sales calls. You'll get lost because your job isn't to find them. Right. And the job is for them to walk up beside you and say, I'm ready for you to lead me now. And because everything that they say, because on these sales calls, the whole goal here is to be building up internal pressure into them.
Yep.
So they're like, I do need to get out of this if they haven't already made that decision. Figure out, have you made a commitment to change already? Do you feel like I'm the one that potentially helps you with that change? So far, what you know about me. Okay, let's figure out where you actually want to go. Cool. That's a great dream, and I know I can confidently get you there. But let's just say if you don't do anything, 6 months, 12 months, maybe even 3 years down the road, where are your kids if you don't? And that's, yeah, go ahead, Manoli.
I think Katie, it's the same problem I had. So, when I mentioned aggravation, you have a certain vision in your mind, right? Certain experience. And when my clients told me, they don't speak up, I knew my worldview, not speaking up. I would assume everything. They are not networking, they're not speaking up in meetings, they are not negotiating. But what I learned from Scott was understanding them. So asking something like, oh, what do you mean? I don't want to assume anything, but
Yeah.
what do you mean by not speaking up? So if I
Yep.
say I feel aggravated, what do you mean by that? I don't want to assume anything. But you will
Yep.
learn this, but just a few things that it's like we don't have to and I used to do that. I wanted them to say something that I can latch on to, and then I just hammer them and tell them how miserable your life is
Yeah.
and how I can pull you in, right? That's how I was.
Yes.
So
So
now
this
it's just like, okay, you say this. Okay, I want to understand more. Tell me more. But then have some
Yes.
specific
So really,
discussion.
Scott, you have 42 ways of saying, tell me more.
Yes. Well,
Pretty much, yeah.
105.
Yes.
No, and yeah, if that's where you want, yes, because I'm always my brain is always going A and B. You just told me this. Well, do you want A or B then?
Yeah.
Right? Or hey, you just told me that. Okay, what does that mean to you?
What does that mean to you? What does aggravated look like? What does aggravated feel like?
Now, going back to like, you got lost really quick, right? You're like, hey, I'm looking to try to grab onto them. Because before you were just trying to, okay, that's your problem. Yeah, I can, okay, let's go. And they're like, yep, let's
Yep.
do this. Right.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, does it feel like this, that, and that thing? And I'm like, yep, I knew that. Okay, well, that's what we do. So you'd be an idiot not to come fix it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which when I
Exactly.
was going through Dr. Gar's role play, I said that right? Well, that's what I do. Now,
Yes.
one of the comments I said, your energy fluctuation and also some of your questions are sharp. What I mean by
Yeah.
sharp, they're very quick. And it's one of the things too that when we get to like objection handling or certain questioning, I will tell you, hey, you quick drawed that. So Katie, with where you're at right now, I mean, if we're looking at 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and you don't do anything, where does that world really look like for you with your family? Now, if I ask you that question and you answer, and
Yeah.
before you even finish answering, I go, well, do you need to change then? And I already have a pre-built sentence or line that comes out. That's a quick draw.
Yeah.
And people subconsciously, oh, you fucking bastard, you just tricked me.
Right.
Because they've had salespeople do that before. And quick,
Totally.
and you've made comments, all of you guys have, about, Scott, I love how calm you are, how your questions land, and this is where I don't want you to change. I want you to be you.
Yeah.
But your energy is way up and excited
Yeah.
and friendly and trying to be your friend.
Yep.
Will kill you a lot of deals.
Yeah.
Being excited, convicted, and confident in who you are will close you a ton of deals. So I'm not telling you to get rid of the excitement.
Yes.
I'm telling you to be you, but you have to learn to manage that at the same time,
Yes.
because you were fighting your energy and what you wanted to do, to where there was part of you that was a dog chasing after a bus, and then another part going, I need to slow down and be calm like Scott, and I just need to sit here in the corner and be good. So you were fighting yourself through this. When you're
Yeah.
fighting yourself, can you clearly think?
No, or help anybody.
Correct. Could you even focus on what she was asking? So the first thing of what you need to
Right.
do when you're talking to your kids,
Yeah.
what's your normal cadence talking to your kids?
Super direct, really relaxed.
Okay. Be that.
Yeah.
Be that person. Because you
Yeah.
can be that person. And you can show excitement at times. You can be you and show your personality. You should, because again, that stuff's online. You
Yeah.
should be, right? Like if you're acting like Batman online and people show up and now you're acting like the Joker, that's a huge disconnect and you're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the same type of deal, if they're coming in for a serious conversation and we're super excited and jumping up and down,
Yep.
can you actually get them emotionally and logically to go, I've got a serious problem here,
Right.
right? And that's one of the things to where, if I use the restaurant example, if Manella and I go out and we're having a serious conversation about what's going on with her kids and her son, and she's telling me he's getting in trouble at school, he's not listening to her, and they're arguing. Am I like, yep, getting another margarita? This is great. This is great, Ernie.
Good news.
This happened to my son too, and here's what I did with them. Or am I like, oh my gosh, I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Totally.
so a lot of this is the first time you jumping in. A lot of this is
Yeah.
the first time you doing something. Your heart rate's high. I'm sitting in the background. You know that. All of these factors you have to take into play. But that's a beautiful thing about jumping in right away and jumping in. Because when you jump on a call and you start getting lost, guess
Yeah.
what's going to happen? That's going to show up.
Totally. Oh, I'm
Or
so
a
game.
version, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I said calm to chaos, because the fact that you're like, hey, I do this outcome and this outcome, this outcome. Where's the GPS point you're leading them? Where's
Yeah,
the star you're leading them?
Yeah.
Calm to chaos. She wants calm in her life,
Yep.
in her relationship with her kids, and calm
Yeah.
with her relationship with her husband. And she wants passion and purpose in her family.
Yep.
Not all the other stuff that you start throwing out and that's in marketing.
Yeah.
What is the outcome? What's her true desire?
Yeah.
And that should be that. So I need to figure out what chaos looks like in her life.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to try to solve this problem? Why hasn't this been solved? Cool. Why do you think I can solve it? Awesome. Why do you need to solve it now? Okay, when it is solved, what's it truly look like up here? What's your
gosh.
dream relationship with your kid? What's your dream relationship with your husband? How does your family operate 24 hours a day in your dream world? Okay. How close are you to that really right now? Well, I'm not at all. Do you want to go in our 6, 12 months or next 3 to 5 years with where you currently are, or in the next 3 to 6 months, would you rather be this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the
You're
old
leading
way.
that conversation. You have to lead them through that conversation. And if
Yeah.
we don't establish that up front, and if in my mind I don't have that target immediately
Yeah.
in my mind, and then figure out where their target is, so I can figure, hey, is our target aligned, or do I need to pull her towards mine? Because if we're yoked together and fighting against each other, we're working 5 times harder and getting 10 times less the results. But if we're yoked together, driving together on the same path together, we get results fast.
Totes.
And
Which is
everything
what,
that you were
which is
there.
what we do.
wrong.
It's what we do in our program for relationships. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. Is hey, you're
Yeah.
trying to get someone else's will to be what your will is, but it's not. So we're gonna get really clear on that and find a connecting point to go forward together. Yeah.
So I'm going to role play with Melanie here. I'm gonna have her be that same person, or does she need to jump?
Oh,
Yeah.
I need to jump, but
Yeah.
10,
Nope, that's
I can
fine.
say 10 minutes if you,
10 minutes. Let's
Yeah.
just go real quick.
okay.
I'll listen to it. Y'all have a good day. See you Friday.
Yep. See you later.
Goodbye.
Yeah, bye.
Hey, Dr. Garv, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you booked a call with me. I just want to make sure I value your time the best. What were you kind of hoping to get out of the call today?
Oh, I just came across your video, or actually it was a written post, I don't know, a few days ago.
Okay.
And it just resonated with me. And then
Okay.
I saw the link to book a call and I booked a call.
So you've been following me just recently, or for a little while? Have you seen a lot of my stuff?
Oh, no, just like a few days ago.
Okay, awesome. When you booked the call, I sent you some information to watch. Did you get a chance to watch that?
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos. I mean, that's all I could watch. I have 3 children, and yeah, sometimes it's just too overwhelming. So did I need to watch everything? I mean, I can go and watch and schedule the call again.
We don't need to. Like that stuff's important for you to really truly understand and get a peek behind the curtain of what I truly do and how we really help families and get them to their dream. And so no, you don't need to, and we can discuss some of that. Now, depending on our conversation, yeah, I might say, hey, I'm gonna have you go back and watch this. And then we can have a further discussion at that point, because the most important thing for me is to figure out where your family life is, the relationships that you're trying to improve, to see if I can get you there. But more importantly, that you know how I do things and you know that I can get you there. And then have a discussion about what that looks like. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the stuff that you watched, what were some of the things that really stuck out to you, kind of going, hey, that's really going on in my life and my family, and I need to reach out and talk with Scott?
You know, I want to do what your client Melissa did. You know, she talked about how she used to be aggravated all the time, and now she's not. She feels more in control. Hold on. I'm in a meeting.
Yes.
I see the aggravation. I see what you mean.
So epic.
Yep.
I wanted to throw it because I want Scott to do the difficult things. So, so
Cool.
sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Hey, we've got kids. We're all at home. I understand. And so if one of them comes running through the door, I get it. So don't worry about it. So, but you did make a comment about feeling aggravated all the time.
Mhm.
What do you mean by aggravated?
It's just that tense feeling I feel all the time. And
Okay.
I feel like I'm responsible for everything. My husband just got laid off, and you know, he has his own stresses, and I don't know if he wants to or he just can't, but he's not helping out as much. And I feel like I'm responsible to do everything. I have a full-time job. I have 3 kids, and it just feels a lot. And for the longest time, I mean, my oldest is 9-year-old. I feel like for the last 5 or 6 years, I feel like I have just not been myself. And
Okay, so this aggravation isn't just because your husband lost his job then.
I mean, I can say it just increased.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it, do you mind if I say something possibly offending you?
Sure.
So was that aggravation manageable before, but now it's not because your husband is unemployed, or was the aggravation kind of unmanageable even before that?
Uh, I mean, there is an additional factor because now I am the sole breadwinner
Mhm.
for the family, and husband is not as helpful. So that definitely adds to the aggravation.
Okay.
But I can say that, yeah, I just have been feeling helpless,
Mm,
you know, for the last 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
Because I feel like, you know, these are my children and I'm not being a good mom to them.
Okay. When you're not being a good mom to them, I mean, I don't want to assume anything. That's a pretty broad statement. So what areas, like in the past, like 6 months, really do you feel like you're not being a good mom to them?
I have just been very tired. So instead of, you know, cooking really healthy meals for them, I'm just like giving them cereal and milk just to like shut them down. And so I can get some peace, some time for me, because work is also getting hectic these days, and it's just becoming too much. And when I see them, I mean, they are happy, honestly, eating cereal. They could probably have cereal every single day for every meal. But I know as a mom, I'm not really feeding them healthy food. So that's one example. I snap at them. I know it's not their fault. They're just being children, but they just seem so out of control. I have to repeat 10 times before they can pick their toys, do their homework. It's just too much.
Okay. And all of this has been going on for the last 4, 5, 6 years, you said?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
When you first started having children, was that kind of the mother you wanted to be or not?
No, I mean, we had dreams, and God told us that we will be great parents to our children, and I feel like I'm also you know letting God down. I know that I can't let God down because God is there to help, but in many ways I am just you know I'm feeling like I'm failing in all ways. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. And failure is a really tough emotion, right? Because it's an over-encompassing thing. I mean, if you could list off like 2 or 3 areas you feel like you're really failing them. I understand like giving them cereal for dinner feels like a failure. That's not really a failure sometimes. But what are like 1 or 2 areas you like really feel like you're failing them? Like as an example, it could be they get home from school and you don't spend any time with them for 2 hours anymore and actually be their mom and go out and play with them or teach them stuff or read them a book. Like what areas do you really see yourself failing?
Yeah, all the things that you mentioned. First
Okay.
of all, when they are home, I'm not home because
Okay.
I come back home late,
Hmm.
and I expect I mean, we have a nanny, but you know how nannies are, right? I mean, you have to make sure that they are doing their job well. They have all the instructions. Um, so when I'm home, I'm very tired, and they come and they want to hug me, spend time with me, tell everything that happened in their day, and I just like shove them away, and I tell them, "Mommy needs to sit right now,"
Okay.
and I mommy can't play with you, and
Okay.
it breaks my heart when I push them away.
Why do you keep doing it then?
Hmm?
Why do you keep doing it then?
I feel like I know I don't want to do it, but lately I just feel like I'm on autopilot.
Okay.
Like I just can't control what comes out of my mouth. I can't control my emotions.
Okay. What have you read any books? Have you watched any videos? Have you hired a, relationship coach? Have you tried anything to kind of help out with this stuff over the last 5, 6 years?
I have read some books, and I also spoke with some of my friends at the church,
Mhm.
and they have told me to trust everything will work well, and and it's it's you can go only so far when you can see that things are getting worse at home, and I know I need to do something, but I haven't really hired a coach. The books that I've read, I mean, they feel great when I read them. There's amazing advice, but then when it comes to, like when when my youngest is crying, I forget everything that's there in the book. I can't implement. I just go on overdrive and I snap at them.
Okay. So you have tried some things, which is good. Little bum for you didn't get any real results. So what would you like as results if you could have wished them into existence after reading like the book or whatever?
Uh, it's been such a long while since I've been in this situation. So, it would be just nice to come home and not be so, what's that word? Yeah, I can think of not be in overdrive all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can come home, and when my children come to me, I'm just relaxed, hanging out with them. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about whether my husband has a job or not. It doesn't matter if their toys are everywhere. I'm not taking my anger, my overwhelm on my kids. That would be ideal. But
Okay.
I just don't know if that's even a possibility.
Okay. Looking at wondering if that's even a possibility, that's a very good question to ask yourself. And my brain was going there when you were talking about it. Like, do you actually think you could make a change, with your schedule, with your husband not working, with the kids at the age that they are? I mean, do you think that there's hope for you to actually change the situation the way it is right now or not?
I mean, your video gave me hope. That's the reason I am on this call. So I know it is possible.
Okay.
I just want to find out from you, how you work,
Yeah.
what your program looks like, how much it is.
Okay. Look, you said your husband's not working right now.
Mhm.
Does he know that you're having a conversation with me today?
Oh, no, 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 no. I can't go and tell him all this.
Okay. What do you mean you can't have a discussion in a way you're feeling emotionally, or that you're talking to someone about potentially hiring to work with you?
He just gets very angry. If I decide to do something, I'll have to just do it on my own. He does not believe in all these things, basically.
Okay. And that can be common with
It's my
husbands once in a
fault.
while.
Hmm?
You said something kind of interesting. I want to ask you about. You kind of said you'd have to do it on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I will get any support from him
Okay.
because he thinks it's my fault.
Okay. How does that feel knowing you're on your own and it's up to you and it's your fault if things are going wrong?
I mean, I feel angry, because we took vows, we married and we promised each other that we'll be there for each other, and I feel he's not doing his part. So yeah, I feel angry, but then I also feel like, I mean, I want to give a good life to my children.
Okay. So there's multiple things, and I talk about this in like the video I sent you and stuff as well, of your husband's causing anger. Your job is causing you a lot of stress that when you get home, the kids are snapping at you, or you're snapping at your kids. You're feeling a lot of frustration, a lot of these really negative emotions, and you can't just be calm and at peace with your family. Is that all of their problem, or is it something more inside of you that we need to work with?
Nobody really asked me this, but if I have to, really think about it, I think it's me, because I mean, there are other people who work, husbands not supporting them. They have children, but I have seen them to be very calm. So I guess there's something that I need to change about me.
Okay.
but I don't
Um,
know what it is.
okay. Not knowing what it is and not knowing how to solve it, does that scare you or does that really excite you knowing that, hey, you can find a way to make it happen?
I would say it's a bit of both
Good.
because I
Mm.
don't know the other side. The life that I'm living is what I know.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the video that I saw that gave me hope. I can
Okay.
say that.
We're never always going to know everything about the future, right? Like we can't really forecast future, but we can make educated guesses on stuff. And we can have faith that if we take action in the right way, that we will get really good outcomes and that God's going to bless us all the way through. So with what you saw about me, you booked a call with me, what I sent you, educate a little bit more. I know we haven't gone specifically into all the details about what it looks like with working with me yet, and we will. Both right now, knowing the fear, but also feeling that excitement, but also not being crystal clear on things. Knowing that your husband's not on board, you've got to do this yourself, and this decision is for you, about you. Would you be ready to jump all in to change the situation of what you're going through right now?
I mean, I want to collect the information from you, then I want to, sit and pray and
Okay.
and then figure out.
Okay. And that's completely fine. Have you been sitting and praying about this for a while now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think this conversation might be a part of the answer to your prayer?
Yeah. Potentially. Yeah.
Where do you really want your dream relationship at home to be? Let's say your work doesn't change at all. Let's go back to your husband's working because he's going to find a job again. So you're working, he's working, you've got your kids, you've got the nanny. That time outside of work where you're at home with your kids, what's that dream look like? How are you as a mother? How are you as a wife? And how is the family dynamic in that dream world? Paint me a really good picture so I can see it.
I do need to go now, but I tried to bring in some of the
Yep, and I
objections
kind of cut out there.
that Katie gets, just to, help her. So
Yep, yep.
Thank you. Very helpful. It's true. You were right on.
all right.
We'll see you in
ya
a little. See you later. Have a good day.
on Friday. Bye. Thank you.
Now, at the very beginning, you saw I was a little bit more energetic than I normally am, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And
Yep.
bringing people through, and when you're talking, depending, because as we're getting more serious, we have to get more serious,
Mm-hmm.
right? And bringing that, going through that right there, and you kind of watching it. What's your feeling immediately? Like, hey, Scott, I really like the way that you did that, or I hated that. Hey, that was good. That was bad, ugly. Critique me now, since I got a chance to critique you.
It is amazing. It's it's like the same as every role play that you do. What you're doing, I can see that you have objectives, which is to learn about this certain things about this person. And your job is to hold their hand and help them feel safe while we learn these things and get honest about these things.
Yep.
And it's incredible. Every time I watch it, I'm like, man, you were grabbing instead. This is what I saw and what I was doing versus what you were doing. Instead of assuming you understood what she meant, you only said what she said. That's a huge shift. So she talks about aggravated. I had a picture about what that looks like. Instead, just tell me more about aggravated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
No.
and looking at where her answers were, right? And sometimes, depending what her answer was, I might have dealt with it right there or a little bit later. Like I brought up the husband later, right? And that last comment, I wrapped everything together.
Yeah.
I doubled down to see where she was at,
Yep.
right? And because I needed to figure out where she was, and that's a hard thing sometimes with a sales call of what you did before. You're trying to figure out why are they breaking down and crying, right? Because there was a point there where I was trying to figure out, I'm like, am I going to do this yet or not? And I decided not to do it yet. I was just about ready to get to it, but after painting me the picture of what your ideal life looks like, I was going to go, okay, let me ask. I mean, in the past 2 to 3 weeks, when was the day that you knew that that was never going to become your reality? And you drew a line of sand saying, I need to do something about this. Right? Because everything that she's going through, her aggravation, her sadness, her frustration, everything she talked about, she gave me a little bit. And I could have gone deeper on some of that to really, hey, where is that showing up? But you have to be careful sometimes not to get lost in the weeds. Because
Yeah.
again, my husband just got laid off. He's not doing anything, this and that. Wow, this could turn into a husband complaint session if we're
Yep.
not, right? And the good thing is she brought in, like, he's angry, which I could have jumped down that and that. Now that's taking everything and pointing blame on him,
Right.
right? Which why I didn't touch base on it there.
Yep.
But the problem is to get from point A to point B up here, her making a decision to change in her life towards her dream life.
Yeah.
Is your husband a factor in the decision in you doing this?
Right.
Right. So that's where I said, hey, what if he says no?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell him, I need to do it myself. Are you able to do that by yourself? Are you ready to make that decision and take ownership? I need to do this on my own, no matter what he says.
Yeah.
Right. And that's something I would have doubled down again before the proposal of going, hey, I don't want you to get divorced. I don't want him sleeping on the couch in anger. I don't want to add more stress to his life and yours by you doing something he's going to be mad about. So you doing this, are you completely comfortable you doing this on your own with your own money, knowing that he might be angry for a little bit until he really sees a change in this, really, then he comes on board? Are you okay with that decision? And why are you?
Yeah.
And I had to tie into her with, okay, it's your husband, it's your job, you're too stressed out, it's the toys. Is it all these things are the problem, or is it something here inside that we need to work on with you? Right? I had to have her take ownership of, hey, this is my decision. This is me that needs to change. I need to be the other one. I need to be the first one to make the decision here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so all those little things, like you said, hey, I'm asking the questions and kind of leading them. And they're telling me why they're going to overcome this scenario in their life. This is why I need to change. This is the struggles I'm having. And some of these emotional things and stories are playing in their head when we're talking about this. You can read someone's body language. And there were times I could see her stop and thinking like, oh, right.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go deeper here. I could. And if I would go deeper, I would say something, Katie, I'm really, really curious. What movie and situation just played in your head right there? Oh my gosh, it was 2 nights ago and boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I didn't have to pry. It's already playing in her head.
Totally.
Right. And so you can ask things like that. Oh my gosh. What memory did you just think about? Right. Because you're curious and you're concerned, just like you would with anybody else.
Yeah.
They're not going to flat out and tell you, oh my gosh, Katie, you'll never guess what happened, 2 weeks ago. And I'm so glad we finally got a chance because here's what he did and blah, 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 blah. right?
Yeah.
We don't want a gossip session. We
Yeah.
want a real honest conversation about what's going on. And because there's so many variables of what's going on in life, and this is really big with Bill too, there's going to be so many different variables going on in someone's life that need to happen to be overcome, that if we're going down all these rabbit holes, this is 4 or 5 1-hour conversations to get down each rabbit hole to make a decision. That's
Totally.
why you need a clear crystal. Chaos to calm is where
Yeah.
I'm trying to bring everybody. That's where I'm trying to bring her. She's
Yeah.
in chaos. She knows she's in chaos. We're talking about random chaos. I can go a little bit deeper if I need to, but the whole thing is to the calm.
Yeah.
You've tried these things. Well, what were the dream outcomes you were hoping for? And you could see her going, oh, I've had so many dreams and they're not even close.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the story playing in her head. So those are all those things of like, hey, I don't want to be here. My job isn't to convince you and to market to you and sell you. It's just to say, hey, you're really in this freaking chaos. You're committed to making a change of yourself for the betterment of yourself and your family and your role as a wife and a mother. And you're going to do this with or without your husband, if need be.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that change? I think so. Cool. What do you mean you think so? And then paint the picture of the dream. So they get
Yes.
the vivid dream, and I get that. Because then so if you don't do anything and we talk 6 months to 2 years down the road, your kids go from 11 to 13 and going into high school and you're not seeing them anymore. Is that where you want this path to go? Because that's the reality you're on right now. Are you okay with that? No, I'm not. Why not? Because what does that look like? And why aren't you okay with it?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, the next couple of weeks, in the next month, as we're working together, things might get a little worse as you start changing and operating differently towards everybody. And there's gonna be some kickbacks, kicking and screaming probably a little bit. But that's how we know it's working. And so you have to have that conviction that this is going to work and you're going to fight through it no matter what to get the best outcome you want. Are you ready to do that? Yeah, I am. Why? Okay. Why do you need to do it today? Because we could wait another 6 months. No, I need this because of XYZ. Okay, do you want me to show you how this works?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, what you were doing before was working for you. But if you are feeling like you're manipulating somebody because you're just trying to grab them and then try to drag them,
Yeah.
is a very big problem, right? But also, I don't want you to change who you are, but now be more aware of who you are and how to control some of that when it needs to be.
Totally.
And it'll take you a little bit to get there, but you'll get there.
Yeah. No, can I say a picture that I'm having in my head while you describe this?
Yeah.
I feel like before I was having someone knock on my door, I'm opening the door and I'm dragging them through my house and showing them something. And like, well, that's not what your life is like. Check this out. But that's not what's going on with you. Rather than what you're talking about, feels like they've invited you into their house and you are a peaceful, calm presence who they increasingly trust to show more bedrooms to. And you're like, wow, that's something. Man.
And
What-
all of and
what's
to go
that
with
doing?
yeah, and to go with the whole video that you had playing through your head, to give you an idea, all your content
Yeah.
that you're putting out
Yeah.
is going to do all of that. Hey, here's my world. Do you want it?
Yeah. Right.
Here's all these outcomes that we provide. Do you want this? So when they show up
Yeah.
to, I want all of this.
Right.
Okay, cool. Why are you looking for it? What's going on?
Yeah. Show me what's going on in your world. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's struggling. And so are you committed to making a change here? Right. And so it's a shift from before you had to market, manipulate, and sell at the same time.
Yeah.
And you had to do that with high energy and all the, I know exactly what's going on. And there's like, woohoo, let's do this, and able to pull people through,
Yeah.
which again, you are having success with.
Yeah.
But you hate it.
Yep.
And you know you're manipulating people, and it pains you to do that call that way, and you know it's not right, even though you might be helping someone in the back end, you won't want to take sales calls, and that
So I
negativity.
would never do it again. Yeah.
Right? Yep. And so understanding, and I know that you're picking up what we're doing, and I know you'll start applying it, and really good job on the first time role playing here.
Thank you.
Very, very good. And now you kind of got to feel it. And it's one of the things that I constantly play certain things in my head. So you kind of felt it being role playing.
Mhm.
You can role play that whole scenario that you did with Dr. Garv. Okay, how would I change this?
Totally.
And role play it 5, 10 different times. I just went through a little bit. How could you handle that question, the answer to what was there? How could I answer this 5 different times? Where would I have done this 2 or 3 different directions?
Yeah.
That have led. Then what would I have done?
Yeah. Totally.
Right.
Well, and I think that's
All
it.
of
Like,
it's going back to that chaos to clear. That's why we have to understand where the GPS is actually headed for them. And do we have a clear GPS point of trying to take them?
right.
because
That's
we can
that's
take-
that objective. I didn't have an objective with her except try to meet her where she's at.
Yep.
That's
Try to
all.
sell her. Yep. Yep. Where are you? I'm gonna try to sell you. Yep.
Like
100%.
I just wanted to find her to have a connecting point, but I realized I've got to go in with a whole plan. I want her to feel it. I want her to have memories about it. I want her to tap into the disappointment of the difference between what she was trying to do and what she's doing now. I want her to tell me that everything she tried didn't work, and I want to know why. Like these are objectives. Like you have this path that you're anchored in on. So diving in on aggravated. Wow, you said aggravated. What does that look like? What does it feel like?
Yeah.
What do you see on your kids when you're doing that? But you have this, it's like you bring so to me, when I hear that stuff, and this is something I've always had to grow in, that feels really invasive. To like, you even said at one point, you're like, can I make a comment that might seem offensive to you? And she was like, hit me. And I would too. I'd be like, yeah, ask me. But the asking for permission, and then I forget, I wrote it down what you asked her. You asked if it was aggravated because her husband got laid off, or was it before that? So you're asking these really personal questions. And I think there's a level of, I'd rather find, and in my old way, I'd rather find a connecting point, hold hands and run together than ask those really personal questions. Like, hey, you showed me the living room. I kind of get an idea about what's going on in there. The kitchen, I know you're struggling in the kitchen and you hate the way it is. This might feel really personal. Would you mind if we peek in the master bedroom so I can understand what's really happening here? Right? That's the mode.
Yep. And you know, that question about, again, can I ask you, knowing it could be offensive, right? Why did I ask the question? Is it the husband being laid off, or did it happen before that? Why did I ask that question?
I think you were moving her from a place of calling it the problem is everywhere else, and her saying, oh, it's inside me.
Yep, 100%. And the other part of it is, hey, my husband's not working. This is really why I'm pissed. No, we had a great time. We were going great till he got laid off 3 months ago. Oh, so this is something new. So when he gets a job in the next few months, you
all
guys
gonna be fine.
have a beautiful life again. Yeah, I
Right.
will. Okay, cool. I'm not for you then.
Yeah, this is not what we do. You don't need me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
that's why you ask questions like that. If I'm not getting clear on when they're bringing things up like that, what would be the objection not to work with me?
Right.
When you bring up the husband, he will be angry. He won't let me pay for it.
Yep.
Or, hey, he just doesn't have a job for now. I was just hoping, to have somebody kind of talk with and, not have me so stressed out. Cool. That's not what I'm go find a therapist, $100 an hour.
Yeah.
Type of deal. We're not right. It's multiple different things. It's figuring out, are you an ideal client?
Yeah.
You know what your problem is. What is the true problem here? Can I actually solve it? And so, yes, I'm glad you understand that, because that's when you understand when people are dropping the answers. Again, all the keys are in those answers. How then do I ask questions to get deeper, to start unlocking door after door after door after door?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then they come to a door that is standing behind me. So either you can turn around, walk back through all the doors and go back to your life, or take my hand, I'll turn around, unlock this door, and we walk into your dream world together.
Yep.
I don't unlock all the doors, she never gets to me.
Yep. Yeah. So you're asking questions. Because that was probably the turning point objection before on my calls was she's telling me it's him, she's telling me it's them, she's telling me it's her mom, it's the way she grew up, all the things. And until she would say, and sometimes I would say, look, I need to be honest with you. Like the people that I work with who come through and it was really, I would say that it's my job to preserve this space behind me for people who are really going to do this. And so I gotta know why this is happening and where you think the solution is. And if they didn't say it's me, so it was very clear, we got to the it's me part, but I was super direct, like, hey, is it him, that, or that? And you did that, you overarched all the things, and then you asked her that, but you built trust on the way by asking, can I ask you this question that might be offensive? And she said yes.
And you know, she said she had 10 minutes to role play.
Yeah.
We talked about like 17. So I went really, really fast and why I skipped over stuff. But in 17 minutes, I basically, hey, we're meeting for the first time. You've seen a couple pieces of my content, watch a little bit. We're 17 minutes in a conversation, about ready to go into her heaven. And she's about ready to close.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the good things of what you just said of like, hey, I need to protect the space behind me. You know, and that's one of the things that you can really say to some of the people.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to let you know, the women I work with are displaying things of like what you're telling me, where you are taking ownership in this. You're not blaming your mom, you're not blaming your kids, you're not blaming your husband. I'm very protective of the women in my group. Because if we get one person there with a victim mentality, or comes in and just starts complaining and doesn't show up, has a very negative effect on everybody. So all of us are going and winning together. Does that sound like some people you want to work with and be around? Right. And so if they haven't been, so if you get them out of the, hey, it's everybody else type of deal. Okay, cool. Now, hey, now you're reinforcing that thought process and saying, good job.
Yeah.
That's how people, because if you have a victim mentality, good luck, you're going to fail. Right. And you're emphasizing how much you protect the people, the results you get. I want that and I need that. And the FOMO kicks in at that point too. Right. So there's multiple logical hooks that kind of happen during that type of conversation too. So.
To say these things, I'm like, I just need to go, like, what you just said had 6 purposes. That thing you said.
Yep.
I need to learn how to say those things. I just like you talk and I'm like, oh, I just need to learn how to say that.
You do. And that's what I'm saying is when you're coaching some of the women, they need to hear it. That's why I asked you, how do you talk to your kids? How do you talk to your clients? Why aren't you acting that way on a sales call?
Well, here's the other piece of it. I think I am to a degree because they came through the door for that. They came into my life. I kicked their butt and they were like, I need her. And they run with me and I kick their butts and they get what they came for. But I understand that for me to grow, for this to grow, for them to grow, they need me to go deeper and be more confident and be more, and it's happening. Like, you know, this evolution is not disconnected from, this is how it works, right? I'm growing from right where I am. So, you know, I met with a woman yesterday who went through the whole program. And this is so fascinating to me that we're doing this today. She went through the whole program. She's been with me for 6 months. I met with her one-on-one yesterday and deconstructed the false narrative that she's been presenting about her childhood and got to a place where I'm going to propose to her. We're going to re-up you. We're going to start again knowing what I know now, and we're going to go forward this new way. But what I realized she needed from me was to be more present in the painful things that she needs to unpack. Slower, stiller, bring her into her body, get real sensory about it. So, so this is just so cool because that's where my head's at as growing as a coach altogether.
Yep. And it's beautiful. And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna tell you the same thing I told Melanie too about the sales call she had yesterday that we just kind of reviewed. Tons of nuggets there that are for your perfect content. So everything that you just went through with that client,
Yeah.
you easily have 5 to 10 different things that we can pull out and write content about. Because right where she is where a ton of your perfect clients are,
Yes. Yep.
right?
And I recorded
And-
it because there were bites I needed to go to go.
Yeah, well, I'm not even talking bites. I'm talking about you writing content too. Clips,
Yeah.
yes, beautiful, right? But those exact scenarios,
Yep.
right? And because when you can use a person's story, whether yours or a client's story, to paint a picture of where people are, where they got, and oh my gosh, now that you got to this level of understanding, there's a bigger world out there. So now we had to make this shift, right? Yes, we all magically want to be like, hey kids, and they're perfect.
Right.
We all want to immediately read a book and realize personal development and I can transform into anything I want. We all want to snap our fingers and have it happen today. But in all honesty, it's going to be 12, 24, 36 months from now. And during that, success, people think, starts here and goes here.
Yeah.
In life, success truly goes.
Yeah.
In all those little spots, hundreds of them,
Yeah.
about the next couple hundred days. Are gonna be things that you will have no idea when they pop up, how to handle them properly, and you're gonna go back to the old self. That's why we're here.
Yep.
There's gonna be another 100 that are roadblocks that we're gonna tell you are gonna come up. Doing this, we can help you avoid them immediately,
Yep.
which helps make this quicker for you and easier. Should you want to do this with us,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, which really the frame, I feel like what you're talking about, and why my firm belief is working with moms. This was my story. Your kids came here to push every button inside you so you can get rid of your buttons and show up loving everywhere you go. That's why they're here. So let's do that rather than spend the next 18 years getting your buttons pushed. We can just deal with all the buttons and have a fantastic life with your kids. Yeah.
Yep. And that's where, going back through the avatars I built for you, right, too?
Yeah.
What are the 5 biggest fears? What are the 5 biggest objections? What are the 5 biggest dreams that they want?
Yeah.
What are the 5 biggest excuses they all have?
Yeah.
Because if we're putting that stuff in the content, guess what? They don't show up on the call.
Totally.
Guess what? If they do come up on the call, we've already addressed it through content.
Yep.
You have a lot more straightforward direction. Hey, Katie, so you did watch that information, right? Now I had that part where we talked specifically about XYZ. Now it kind of concerns me because it sounds like you're in that space right now. You agree with that? So what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was already said, you've got 2 choices. You're either smart or you're not, right? You either win or you lose, right? And so now I can have that direct conversation that's a lot more specific because it's, again, like having a conversation multiple times. They've seen these things. So it's much easier to have a conversation with somebody when that conversation has already been spoken about.
Yeah.
So if
Totally.
they've watched it or seen it and it's already been spoken about from you in content and they've
Yeah.
watched it, they've seen it, that's a pretty easy conversation to have with them then.
Yep. So this is like what I'm picturing when you say that is like, think about the content I'm making as directly displaying obviously the outcomes, but also the objections.
Yep.
And
And the
how
fears.
and how we move through that and how my girls overcome that, like how real that fear was and what actually happened when we did it.
Yep. And
Cool.
so in another example too, which we kind of talked about before as well, on before a client shows up on a call, especially with Dr. Gar's offer. South Asian women lots of times use their husband as a reason not to spend money. Oh, I don't have my own bank account. I have to grab my husband's credit card. I need his approval, right? So to overcome that, we gave a video beforehand that overcomes that,
Cool.
right? So
Yeah.
the same, talked about the objections. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. So you've had sales calls, you've had objections, you've had sales calls, their fears.
Yep.
And so if you're talking about that and overcoming their fears and the objections of working with you and displaying a story of a client getting their ideal outcome that they want, that's
Yep.
cash collecting content. That's converting people into your world. Because, oh my gosh, that's me. Oh my gosh, I don't think this can happen. I don't think that's a reality. That's their objection. You overcome it. And then you show a story why your point of view is correct versus theirs.
Yep.
Like, oh,
Uh-oh.
okay.
I lost you for a minute.
Yep, I'm back. Got it. And I do need to hop.
Cool. So do I. Thank you. This is fruitful. Oh, losing you again. You're back.
I got you. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm really unstable here today.
You're so unstable, Scott.
I'm back. Yeah, my
Yay.
internet's acting really funky here. Yeah, I'll see you on Friday. We'll be connecting today and tomorrow too. And one thing, I want to make sure by Friday we have your brand program tagline, that we have it dialed. Because remember, we can always change it, but we need something picked. Because the big thing is, if we keep just spending time just going in circles on it,
Yeah.
we're wasting time.
Well, let me tell you what I'm doing, because I'm definitely not circling on brand. I have
Yep.
I have to get a bunch of leads, some edited stuff out today. I got to fix some school stuff. I mean, I'm just so busy with so many other
Yeah, that's
things.
good. That's fine. Yeah.
So, I was going to ask you this, actually. This is great that we're talking about this. People who are there's people coming in right now. I want the content to be adjusted. I want all kinds of things about the program to be fixed, but I know that my priority right now is to lock in subscriptions and deposits and people. So I'm going to leave I got to keep it what it's called. It's riddled throughout the content, what it's called.
100%. Yep.
So we're not rebranding. We're just nailing it down so we can keep working. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yep. And yes, number one focus right now, yes, you have people coming in, so we need to convert them quickly.
Yep.
Because where you're at, yes, we should be getting closes, and that's where, like, I don't want it. There's always fires to put out. There's always things to improve. There's always, yes, if we rechange this, if we update this, now we have to go update a million places.
Right.
But we can never do it in those million places if we don't start making money now.
Right. Yep.
So, yep, number one focus there is,
Awesome.
start
So
jumping.
and I don't want to confuse the school people anymore. So I'm going to leave the names of
Correct.
what school is.
Yep.
But I am going to start putting the new skills in there and phasing out the other stuff.
Yep.
So, and then we will roll out the new words later once everyone's settled and going
Yeah.
forward. Yeah. Okay, great. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of your day.
Priceless. See you soon.
Yep. Bye.